Weird fam tree? So true. Oh wow. What's with the audio spikes, man? I don't know. I don't know how to rig that. What happened there? Familial relationship. So true. Okay, yeah, so testing the new the new headphone stand. So good. Yeah, I'm just gonna catch up to Resident Evil right here. We're gonna watch it.
It's zombies due to their exposure to the T-virus. This virus was a creation of the Umbrella Corporations, created by the progenitor virus, an ancient West African virus. The T-virus
Never a
purpose
serious
was to
streamer
mutate biological cells
anyways.
for the betterment of the human race, but eventually
Finally, we
developed
can
into
get a good
military
angle of
product.
my desk,
After
of my
exploring the
screen,
train,
you know.
Rebecca eventually discovers Billy Cohen,
I'm so happy
former
with
Marine
this.
who was the prisoner the military
Oh,
police truck
this
was
is a good
transporting.
feel. It's kind of cutthroat,
Begrudgingly form a
but oh
partnership when they see a
well.
mysterious figure outside
Oh
the train.
well.
Shortly thereafter, it begins to move once again. The two are able to stop the train before it
I
speeds
hope
off
you
of
are
a cliff,
doing well,
and instead end up directing it towards an abandoned Umbrella research and training facility. There, they learn of the history of the progenitor virus and Umbrella's use of it by the corporation's founders, Roswell E. Spencer, Edward Ashford, and Dr. James Marcus.
Sorry if you're talking.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And while Ashford wanted to use its regenerative properties to help the handicapped, Spencer and Marcus saw its potential as a biological weapon and began creating the T-virus.
Okay, so I don't know if what I receive it's is the right meaning. But yeah, I am already a monkey. But like, as far as I know, it means a random stream. Like it's unplanned. It's not scheduled. As everyone know, I don't have any schedule whatsoever. Yeah, yeah. All of my is just so true. Mine too. Yeah.
After getting separated from Billy, Rebecca meets back up with Captain Enrico Marini from her team, and he informs her of Bravo team's plan to meet up at a nearby mansion, but allows Rebecca to
Chris?
find Billy
Really?
first.
Okay,
Just
that's
after,
cool.
however,
Ini
Rebecca
cuma
is
pakai
attacked
earphone
by a
loh,
giant
iPhone
bioorganic
yang
weapon
dari
or
zaman
BOW
kapan?
created by the T-virus known as a tyrant.
Oh,
She's able to temporarily subdue it before
yeah,
meeting back up with
it's
Billy, who is
literally
able to
just
help her
this.
defeat the creature. Shortly after, Billy and Rebecca finally meet the mysterious figure
That's
responsible
cool
for the outbreak
if
on the
it's
train. It
good.
turns out to be none
Yeah.
other than Dr. James Marcus, or so it would seem. He reveals that he was assassinated by Wesker and Birkin on the order of Spencer 10 years prior. But the queen of his experimental leeches entered his body and absorbed his DNA in order
Good
to
stream,
regenerate him.
not
Obtaining
scuff.
his memories
Imagine
and
dong
taking his
kayak
identity.
apa,
He then
mic
splits into a massive leeches
mic
and chases Rebecca and
earphone
Billy
lebih
through the
bagus
facility.
daripada mic
Meanwhile, Wesker makes his way to the
headset
training
gaming.
facility,
I can't
encountering
believe
and
that,
defeating
but
the tyrant
that's
on the
what's
way.
happening right now. So.
Once there, he comes across Spencer's lead
Oh, gue
bodyguard,
gak bisa ngechat.
Sergei Vladimir.
I have to check.
After an argument,
I have to go
Sergei sends
back
one of his
like
genetically engineered
every
Ivan bodyguard tyrant
time.
units after Wesker, who is able to defeat it. Their battle is brought to a halt, however, as Birkin activates the
Gue jadi
self-destruct
bingung, gue
system.
megang apa sih?
Wesker then escapes to meet with the Star's Alpha
1
team
year
to make their
just
way to the mansion.
passed by and I
Elsewhere,
forgot
Billy
everything
and
I
Rebecca
did.
are able to defeat the Queen Leech.
Oh my god.
Afterwards, the two find the Spencer mansion and Rebecca heads towards it to meet with Stars, while Billy leaves, being declared officially dead to escape his war crimes.
Rebecca finds her way into the mansion but is unable to find the rest of Bravo team. Eventually, fellow Bravo member Richard Aiken finds a sleeping Rebecca, and the two head off to find their captain Enrico Marini. On their way, the two witness Sergei Vladimir with one of his Ivans carrying a BOW prototype away from the mansion.
Oh wait, Mama
Later,
wait,
the two are ambushed by a
Noah.
giant snake-based
Emang headset
BOW
gaming?
Automaton,
Oh
which gives
gitu.
chase.
Gue berarti
He's able to
terbodohi
hold
dong
them in the
kayak.
library,
Gue
but
kira
Richard
dengan
jumps in
ada
front of it to save
busa-busanya
Rebecca.
and all that
She's
gitu
able to
kayak.
shoot the monster to
Wow,
scare it
it's
away,
high
but
quality
Richard
mic.
is left
Ternyata enggak ya,
incapacitated,
anjir.
infected with the
Penipuan lah.
creature's poison.
Shortly after, Star's
Scam.
Alpha team arrives to investigate the
Nomwa.
disappearance of Bravo team.
Yes,
Bravo
I
team's
am
downed
just
helicopter
working.
along with the corpse of one of the
I can stay
pilots,
for
but finds all the
yeah,
other
it's
members
okay.
missing.
I'm happy you
Shortly
stopped
after, they are
by.
attacked by mutated
Love
dogs
you,
called
Noah.
Cerberuses, which kill team member Joseph Frost.
How do I?
Alpha Team's pilot Brad
There's
Vickers
no
takes
love
off,
emoji.
leaving
Okay,
the
that,
remaining
that'll
4
do.
members, Chris Redfield, Jill
I
Valentine,
cannot
Barry
click.
Burton, and their
Shit.
captain
Oh,
Albert
okay.
Wesker, to escape to the nearby mansion.
Yeah.
Inside the mansion, the team split up to search the building.
Yeah, I wanna like
Inside,
new song coming up.
from their injuries,
Okay,
including
then
Richard, who
good luck
sacrifices himself
on
to
the
save an Alpha Team
recording.
member.
Can't
Jill
wait
works
to
with
hear.
Barry while Chris meets up
Yeah.
with Rebecca. They learn that the mansion is actually owned and operated as a base by the Umbrella Corporation. It was built for Oswald Spencer by George Trevor, whose family was abducted and experimented on to research the progenitor virus. The daughter, Lisa Trevor, is still alive, although mutated by the virus, and Stars is forced to avoid her as they progress. After destroying a giant plant and some giant sharks, Stars eventually finds Captain Enrico Marini, who believes there is a traitor among the ranks, before he is shot and killed by an unknown assailant who escapes afterwards. Stars finds the basement of the mansion to be a secret laboratory, and there they find the Epsilon virus, which had leaked and infected the mansion's inhabitants. Wesker is finally revealed to be a double agent working for Umbrella, who led Stars to the mansion to test the BOW's
Why is it in Chinese? I don't understand. What
He
the
then
heck?
intends to destroy the facility to cover up the various illegal activities. Unbeknownst to the others, he had also injected himself with a mutant T-virus strain in order to strengthen his body. It is then revealed that Barry was working for Wesker under the threat of his family's murder. Wesker eventually admits to his true nature and also reveals that he plans on double-crossing Umbrella by handing over their research to their rival. He then awakens the T-002 tyrant to attack Stars, but it instead attacks him first, impaling him. The lab's self-destruct system begins to count down, and the remaining Stars members, Jill, Chris, Rebecca, and Barry, make their way to a nearby helipad to call in Brad. He arrives just as the tyrant reappears. The Stars team is able to defeat the creature with a shot from a rocket, and they are able to escape as the mansion explodes in the distance.
While the mansion exploded, Wesker was able to survive his attack due to the virus within his body, and secretly escape. Fighting Lisa Trevor on his way, Wesker traps her inside as he leaves, finally putting her out of her misery with the mansion's destruction.
2 months later, in Raccoon City, 8 patrons in Jay's bar witness a news report about increased violence in the city. Shortly after, an infected man walks in and bites one of the bar's staff, Will, killing him. The others escape, discovering the city to be overrun by infected zombies. They eventually reach the Raccoon Mall, where the police intend to detonate explosives to
Matsuri
kill
will
a massive
suit you
group
so
of
much.
zombies.
Yes.
2 of the
Oh
police
my
are
god,
killed,
kawaii
however,
kutego,
forcing
man.
them to
There's
assemble
no
the
way.
detonator themselves,
There's no
using
way.
it to kill the zombies. They then leave as more
Go-
police arrive to secure the city.
I see.
Elsewhere in the city,
I
two
cannot
firefighters
wait.
investigate the boiler room of the nearby Apple Inn before it explodes, trapping them and the other survivors from the bar inside. After fighting a mutated civilian called the Suspended, they're able to escape into the city.
Later, Cindy Lennox, the waitress of Jay's bar, approaches the Raccoon Zoo, noticing a note indicating an evacuation chopper's planned arrival. The survivors enter the zoo and are attacked by various infected animals, but are able to escape to a tram. However, as the tram is leaving, it is brought to a stop as the evacuation helicopter crashes, killing another group of survivors nearby.
Elsewhere in Raccoon City, Jill Valentine awakens inside her apartment, where she has been investigating the Umbrella Corporation. Unaware of the ongoing outbreak, Jill receives a frantic call from Brad Vickers, who warns her to get out of the city immediately. Before she has a chance to react, however, a massive human-like BOW crashes through her wall and attacks, forcing her to run through her apartment building while the BOW gives chase, destroying everything in its wake. Jill eventually escapes the monster, emerging into the city streets to find it in a state of chaos. Brad finds her and tells her the monster has been searching for the remaining Stars members in the city, which now includes just them. They are soon swarmed by the infected and forced to run, but Brad is bitten. Knowing what comes next, he stays behind and forces Jill to go on without him. Jill continues to run to find safety, eventually finding a man in a parking garage who locks himself into the trailer of a semi-truck.
My brain is not
Jill makes her way to the roof of the garage just as a helicopter flies above. She flags it down, and the pilot calls her to get in as he lands. As she approaches, however, the BOW from her apartment destroys the helicopter. Jill enters a nearby car and drives it into the creature, plunging them both off of the roof and down to the streets below. This proves to be only a minor setback for the monster, who simply stands and walks towards Jill, even as the car explodes around him. As it reaches her, however, a man nearby shoots a missile at it, temporarily incapacitating the creature. The man rushes over to Jill, introduces himself as Carlos, and takes her underground to a subway station, where his fellow Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service members have established a makeshift shelter. Despite Jill's hesitation to trust Umbrella operatives, she nonetheless follows Carlos to the shelter. When they reach the shelter, Jill is introduced to UBCS platoon leader Mikhail Victor, who recognizes her as a member of STARS and asks her to help in getting the subway car moving. She agrees to help the civilians in the shelter and heads back up to the surface to find some supplies and find the substation to get the power back up. On her way, she finds an injured UBCS member and she runs to help him. But suddenly another member enters and immediately shoots him in the head. The man claims the member he killed was infected, with Jill denouncing his coldness. The two quickly go their separate ways and Jill reaches the substation, where she is forced to avoid spider-like mutated creatures while turning on the power system. After she turns on the power, Jill calls Carlos, who tells her to go to the subway company's office to enable the traffic control system so the trains can move. On her way, however, she is again ambushed by the giant BOW, which she is able to escape once again to reach the traffic control office. She inputs the route into the system, then makes her way back to the subway station, encountering her nemesis once again on the way. Back at the subway, Jill regroups with Carlos as the man she encountered earlier who shot his own man, Nikolai, arrives. He expresses his frustration that Jill is there before walking off just as the BOW begins to break in. Carlos closes the security gate while Jill slips out to distract the BOW to buy them time. She lures the creature away from the train, eventually losing it in the sewers. After fighting through several fish-like BOWs, Jill reaches Carlos on a radio, who tells her they've been waiting for her to return to leave the station. As she reaches the surface, however, she is once again grabbed by her nemesis, now wielding a flamethrower. She is able to escape it again, but only temporarily, as she's forced to fight it on a rooftop nearby. After defeating it in battle, its flamethrower's fuel tank explodes, blasting Jill off the rooftop, where she meets a rough landing. On her way back to the subway, she stops by an old friend, gunsmith Robert Kendo. She offers to take him to the subway, but he reluctantly declines, heading into a nearby building to deal with an unseen issue of his. Not long after, Jill is once again ambushed by the BOW, this time wielding a rocket launcher. It fires at her, which blasts her away from it. Carlos then calls and tells her he has a plan and to lead the BOW back to the station, which she does. It trips a claymore set up by Carlos, and he shoots a nearby oil tanker, causing a giant explosion as he and Jill escape back into the subway as the security gates close. Carlos sends Jill into the subway car on her own while he stays behind, being sent by Mikhail to join another operative named Tyrell to look for a scientist whose vaccine research could stop the outbreak. During the train ride, Mikhail expresses his distrust towards Nikolai, but their conversation is cut short by an explosion. When they investigate, they find the BOW chasing Jill has destroyed part of the train and climbed aboard. Jill runs, but finds that Nikolai, knowing the BOW is after Jill alone, locks her in the train car to deal with it. The BOW grabs Mikhail with its tentacle, but he sacrifices himself to detonate an explosive charge, blasting the train car off the tracks and knocking Jill unconscious. Meanwhile, Carlos and Tyrell reach the Raccoon City Police Department, where they witness an infected Brad Vickers attack and bite an RCPD officer. The pair then enter the station and find the STARS office to contact Dr. Nathaniel Bard, who is trapped in a nearby hospital. He asks for their help after revealing that Umbrella is killing the researchers to cover up the operation. Tyrell tries to track the doctor's location while Carlos receives word from Jill that the train derailed before their communications are cut off. He then rushes off to return to the subway to check on Jill. Meanwhile, Jill reaches the surface, watching the BOW, now aflame, jump into the nearby river and calls Carlos again, who informs him about the train crash and Nikolai's betrayal. However, the BOW emerges from the water, now mutated, even larger, and it attacks her, forcing another fight outside the city's clock tower. Jill is able to take it down with a grenade launcher, but as she walks past it, it grabs her. She's able to close a gate to separate the two, but it is able to stab her as she runs away, leaving a tendril in her arm and infecting her, causing her to convulse.
Why is RE so brutal?
And smiles as she passes out.
What is happening?
Meanwhile, Claire Redfield is searching for her brother. Her and rookie RCPD officer Leon S. Kennedy separately stop at the same gas station, which they find to be under attack by zombies. The pair meet and take a nearby sheriff deputy cruiser to the city. There, they overhear an announcement encouraging survivors to head to the police station for shelter. They are forced to continue to the station on foot before they are separated by an explosion and carry on independently. Claire and Leon do reunite, but are separated by a locked fence. A nearby rescue helicopter is shot down and explodes, ending their reunion. Another tyrant, the T-103, appears and begins to stalk our heroes. Claire finds an underground tunnel and traverses through it, coming across a young girl named Sherry Birkin. However, shortly after, she is attacked by a mutated creature wearing a lab coat. She's able to temporarily defeat the creature, and the two make their way into the police station's parking garage. But there, they are surprised by corrupt police chief Brian Irons, who kidnaps Sherry and takes her to an abandoned orphanage. He then calls Claire, demanding she bring him a pendant that Sherry dropped, and she reluctantly agrees. After she heads off, Leon finds his way to the parking lot and meets FBI agent Ada Wong. In the station cell area, they find a reporter named Ben Bertolucci, who was arrested by Irons for investigating Umbrella's shady operations. However, Ben is killed by the tyrant, who attacks Leon, but he is saved by Ada. The two then agree to work together and head through a gun shop owned by Robert Kendo, who takes his infected daughter aside before a single gunshot is heard, before Leon and Ada head to the city's sewer system. Meanwhile, Sherry attempts to sneak past Irons to escape the orphanage, but she's unable to escape him. However, the creature in the lab coat reappears and infects him.
I don't know
Shortly
how to
after,
design.
Claire arrives and finds Irons, who is killed by the parasite he was infected with.
Imposter, like,
Claire then finds Sherry in a facility under the orphanage, but the two are found by the tyrant. During their escape, the creature appears once again and kills the tyrant, but turns its attention towards the two. It attacks an elevator they're in, causing it to drop violently, knocking Claire unconscious and forcing Sherry to head off on her own. Claire is awakened by Annette Birkin, Sherry's mother. She informs Claire that the creature chasing them is her husband, William, mutated. She also reveals that she took Sherry before leaving suddenly. Claire heads off and eventually finds Sherry trapped inside of a trash compactor by Annette. Through her travels to unlock the compactor, Claire discovers proof of the truth. William had escaped with the G-virus, hoping to sell it to the US military. He was discovered by Umbrella soldiers who shot him fatally. However, in order to survive, he was able to inject himself with the virus in his final moments. He then hunted down and killed the soldiers, shattering the vials of the T-virus they held and causing the outbreak in Raccoon City. Claire encounters William and fights him once again before successfully opening the compactor. Inside, she rescues Sherry, but finds her to be infected by William, who had been hunting her due to her DNA closely matching his, allowing for the virus to spread. Annette tells Claire that she can heal Sherry at her lab, an Umbrella facility called Nest. Meanwhile, Leon and Ada also come across Annette. Ada informs her that they're there for the G-virus, but Annette responds that it won't be possible. She then ignites an infected corpse before opening fire. Leon tackles Ada and takes a bullet for her, passing out afterwards. Ada follows Annette, eventually finding her, but also getting knocked into a trash compactor. Leon awakens and rescues Ada, and the two head off to Nest as well to get a sample of the virus.
Such a Mary
On their way, Leon and Ada share a moment and a kiss,
and
and Leon continues on as Ada is too injured from her fall into the compactor. Leon obtains the sample and battles William. Afterwards, Annette reveals that Ada is not actually an FBI agent, but rather a mercenary who plans to sell the virus.
Damn.
Leon confronts Ada and
You betrayed me, Ada. What would you do?
And she slips off the bridge they stand
Oh
on.
no!
Leon reaches to catch her, dropping the virus into the abyss beneath the lab. Leon loses his grip. And
My
Ada falls as
girlfriend,
well.
oh!
Meanwhile, Claire finds the vaccine for the virus, unlocking it with Sherry's pendant.
Vaccine
She
COVID,
also
guys.
battles William as Annette administers the virus to Sherry. Claire emerges victorious, and Annette succeeds in curing Sherry before dying from wounds incurred by William.
No!
Afterwards, the facility
Woman
begins a
died.
self-destruct sequence,
She killed
and Claire
Ada,
takes
though.
Sherry
But
to an
like-
evacuation train, where she successfully communicates with Leon. After fighting and defeating
The
William
fuck
once
is that
again,
thing?
Claire enters the train and takes off.
Elsewhere, Leon encounters the tyrant once again,
The
and Ada,
fuck?
who somehow survived her fall,
Yeah,
tosses
okay.
him a grenade launcher to help him defeat the creature.
RE
He does
is
so
not
and escapes
real.
to find the moving train,
How do you
hopping on
survive
and
that
finding
fall?
Claire
What
and Sherry
what kind of
inside.
think
The
she's
trade
torn
is
her
attacked again
pussy
by the
and
final remains of William. The pair are able to defeat him once and for all, and the three finally escape the city. They leave the train to continue on foot, and Leon and Claire swear to continue their fight to take down
That's so
Umbrella.
cute.
And the three
That's
agree
really
to stay
cute.
together, at least for now.
For now.
Afterwards, the sole survivor of William Birkin's attack on the Umbrella operatives, codenamed Hunk, escapes the city with a sample of the G virus.
See. Like when I
At a
see the
temporary
Mercenaries
shelter,
DLC
Dr. George
today, I
Hamilton finds a
didn't
note
know
from
who
his colleague,
Hunk
Dr. Peter
is.
Jenkins,
I feel
asking him to
so
help
bad.
at the nearby Raccoon University.
Yeah.
George takes some survivors to
Ooh,
help
this
Jenkins
is a
at the
cool
university,
thing to
but when they
have.
arrive, they find him dead by gunshot to the back of the head.
Oh, fuck.
They find his notes referencing an antivirus called
Final
Daylight
message.
intended to fight the T-virus. The survivors then set out to find the materials needed to synthesize the antivirus. Elsewhere, a team of mercenaries working for Umbrella encounter an experimental tyrant BOW called Thanatos, created by rogue Umbrella researcher Greg Mueller. Nikolai arrives to collect a sample of Thanatos' blood, which he does, enraging the monster
I
and
can't
causing
tell
it to
what
kill
I'm looking
all
at
of
anymore.
Nikolai's ground
This
troops.
is bad. I'm not.
The canister of blood falls, and the survivors are able to
too much-
retrieve it to obtain one
I
of the
don't wanna
Daylight
do that.
components. They then obtain the other two components and head to
Okay, let's see
synthesize
the
the
reference
vaccine.
again. What did
Upon
they do
doing
to
so,
this?
however, they are interrupted by Mueller,
Don't
who
know
threatens
what
them
they
with
do to
Thanatos
this.
before he
I
is shot
can't
dead by
figure
Nikolai.
out what they're doing in
The
here.
survivors then escape with the sample, and Nikolai starts a timer on
I
a
guess it's
detonator of
not,
C4
like,
charges throughout the
purely
university.
white.
The survivors
It's a bit,
escape and battle Thanatos, finally defeating the monster. A helicopter then
it's a
rescues
bit
them as they escape with the
yellowish,
sample of
like
Daylight.
old paper.
Sometime later, Carlos finds Jill and carries her off to the
I
nearby
think that's-
Spencer
oh,
Memorial
no.
Hospital to look for Dr. Bard and hopefully his vaccine.
Good,
After
I
fighting
think
off
that's
several
the
Hunter Beta
better
BOWs,
color.
Carlos finds Dr. Bard. However, he is dead, with a
However,
bullet hole
he's dead.
in his head.
That's
He investigates a nearby computer,
Alright.
finding Bard's final message, where he admits to
Final
Umbrella's involvement in the T-virus creation and outbreak. In the video, he explains he has a sample of the vaccine in his office, with more stock of it downstairs. He again warns that Umbrella plans to kill him, erase any trace of the vaccine, and cover up the
that
entire
looks pretty
ordeal.
cool. I like that.
Carlos grabs the vaccine sample and heads back to give it to Jill. After
Carlos.
injecting it,
I
Carlos
forgot
and
about
Jill
this guy
both
for a
rest,
while.
but Carlos is later awoken by Tyrell, who barges in and wakes him up. They then hear an emergency announcement that the military plans to destroy the city in a massive missile strike the next day. Carlos then fights off an onslaught of infected and Hunter Betas before heading underground to look for the rest of the vaccine before the military strike. Afterwards, Jill wakes up and speaks with Tyrell, who fills her in on the situation. She heads to the underground storage facility to look for Carlos. Later, Tyrell arrives, telling her that he was able to speak with the military to delay the missile launch if they can deliver the vaccine. When they arrive at the storage facility, Jill's nemesis arrives and kills Tyrell, forcing her to run off. She finds the vaccine facility but learns that she has to synthesize it herself. She collects the samples required and places it into the machine, successfully synthesizing it and obtaining the vaccine sample to turn over to the government. Just after, she is grabbed by the BOW and is chased into a giant room with several large tanks. She drops the vaccine and falls off a catwalk, grabbing the edge and hanging on. Nikolai arrives and grabs the vaccine, telling Jill that he's going to record and sell the combat data from her battles with the Nemesis. He then kicks her off the ledge, and she is forced to fight the creature one-on-one.
Yeah.
Carlos arrives to provide support during the battle, and the pair are able to work together to defeat the creature. Jill escapes and comes across Nikolai, who she threatens to hand over the vaccine. He refuses and runs off, leaving her to fight yet another larger mutation of the Nemesis.
What the
Carlos arrives
hell?
shortly
What the
after, but Jill sends him to catch Nikolai before she battles the Nemesis for the last time. After their final battle, Jill obliterates the monster with an experimental railgun before rushing off to the elevator to find Carlos and Nikolai.
So raw.
On the roof of the facility, she finds an incapacitated Carlos on the ground, and Nikolai ambushes her. He then throws the vaccine to her, but shoots the vial, destroying the sample. He then reveals that his unnamed employer is paying him to bring down Umbrella. They then hear an announcement that the missile has launched, and they have 10 minutes until impact. But as Nikolai starts to leave, Carlos attacks him. The two fight, and Jill shoots Nikolai in the chest. Carlos enters a nearby helicopter, and Nikolai offers the truth behind his employers and motives if they take him with them. Jill refuses, however, as she enters the helicopter to leave with Carlos, instead electing to figure out the truth on her own. The pair then fly off, leaving Nikolai and Raccoon City behind while vowing to take down Umbrella.
Elsewhere, we find an Umbrella Security Service member, Captain Rodriguez, preparing to leave the city in an aircraft with a stolen BOW. He is with Umbrella researcher Dr. Linda Baldwin, who convinces him to wait while she goes back to the R&D center to retrieve a drug that may help in stopping the spread of the virus. As she enters, experimental hunter BOWs escape captivity and place the facility on lockdown. Baldwin is able to obtain her sample, but cannot escape the facility until the lockdown is released. Another researcher, Dr. Carter, begins to activate a tyrant, called the Tyrant R, hoping it can kill the hunters and allow their escape. The Tyrant R succeeds in killing the hunters, and Carter then plans to cause it to destruct by activating a bomb hidden within the creature. However, the Tyrant R interrupts this plan, killing him, destroying the sample, and knocking Baldwin down into the water treatment facility below. There, she is found and rescued by survivors, and after some water flushes through the sewers, they emerge outside the Apple Inn. After fighting the Tyrant R once more, the survivors reach Rodriguez and escape the city before its destruction commences.
Meanwhile, we find Ada escaping the sewers to the surface of Raccoon City in front of the Apple Inn.
The guy who's
there she
talking
intends
right now
to meet
sounds
her
like
contact from Umbrella's
detectives.
rival company, but finds him dead from suicide.
Whoa,
Suddenly,
he
Albert
put
Wesker
so
calls her
much
on a nearby
emphasis on
computer,
that
accusing her of
suicide.
failing her mission and defecting to help Leon. But she shows him the sample of the G-virus she was able to recover. Wesker then informs her of the city's imminent destruction and tells her to find a helicopter carrying an Umbrella executive to escape in. Ada makes her way, fighting the Tyrant R on her way and killing it in turn, before finding the helicopter and attaching her grappling hook to a package being carried by it, allowing her to escape the city. Afterwards, the US government carries out their plan and destroys Raccoon City with a thermobaric missile blast.
1 month later, Private Detective Ark Thompson is asked by Leon, his personal friend, to investigate an Umbrella facility. Ark is able to infiltrate the Umbrella-controlled Sheena Island under the guise of impersonating Umbrella Commander Vincent Goldman. However, Ark is seen by a child, Lot Klein, who informs the real Vincent of this imposter. Vincent, believing Ark to be sent by Umbrella headquarters to find proof to remove him from his position, then triggers an outbreak, hoping to escape in the scuffle during the cleanup operation. During the outbreak, Vincent discovers Ark in his office.
Again! Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at that. I'm too focused on the story and making it look good. Oh my god.
Causing Vincent to fall to
Hi
the ground, and
again.
the helicopter crash lands with Ark
What
still
is
inside.
the up?
When Ark recovers, he wakes
Look,
up
I
with
got
a gun,
a
but no
good
memory of who he
phone
is or why
stand
he is there.
now.
He fights through the island's infected inhabitants, finding Vincent's
I
unconscious
can
body,
see
holding his
shit.
dog tags.
Kinda.
This causes Ark to believe that the man in front of him is Ark Thompson.
Where's my...
Eventually, Ark finds photographs of him impersonating Vincent, leading him
Are you
to
actually
believe
doing
that he
stuff
is, in
or
fact,
watching
the
it?
commander and the
If
perpetrator
you
of the
see,
whole virus on the island.
I've been editing this thingy. I've been told to make a recap video of my organization because the term is about to end. No, it's actually ended in February, but yeah, yeah. So I'm focusing on this, but then I'm listening to this also.
The facility
Yeah.
suddenly triggers a self-destruct sequence, and Ark sends the kids to the facility's railway station where he will meet them. However, on his
I
way,
feel like
Ark
I
encounters
got
the
into
prototype
Resident
Hypnos
Evil
T-type
so
tyrant.
late.
After
Because
fighting the tyrant,
gue
Ark
takut
heads to
pas
the
masih
railway and the
kecil.
three regroup and take the tram to the
Jadi dari
helipad
gue
for
baru itu
evacuation.
sekarang.
There, the tyrant attacks once
Yeah.
again, but Ark defeats it and takes off in the
How
helicopter.
do you do, good
However, still
sir?
not quite done. The
What
tyrant
is that
grabs the
thing?
helicopter, but Ark fires 2 missiles at it,
What
finally
the
killing
fuck
it.
is that
The three
thing?
then fly off in the distance, not quite knowing what their future holds.
3 months after the destruction of Raccoon City, Claire infiltrates an Umbrella facility, still searching for Chris. Claire is captured
Oh, Claire
by
is
Rodrigo
the
Juan Raval
baby
and imprisoned
who
in the
got
remote
big.
Rockford Island
Who
facility.
got big?
While
That
unconscious in her
sounds
cell,
so
she is awakened by the sound of a nearby explosion. Rodrigo arrives and
baby.
releases Claire from her cell, believing they all will be
I
dead soon
shouldn't use
anyway.
that.
Outside, Claire discovers that an
Yeah,
outbreak
how
of the
about
T-virus
that?
has occurred on the island. Shortly after, she comes across a fellow
Built up the
escaped
London
inmate,
Tower.
Steve
That
Burnside,
looks
and the two
bad,
discover that
bro.
Chris has been under surveillance by Umbrella. Claire uses a facility's PC to contact Leon to inform Chris of her
What did
capture
we
and
do
Umbrella
out
surveillance. Claire continues on and finds the Ashford estate, eventually meeting its inhabitants, twins Alfred and Alexia Ashford, who try to hinder Claire and Steve's progress. The pair eventually discover Alfred to be disguising himself as his sister as part of a dual personality disorder before they are able to escape the island in an airplane. During their flight, they are attacked by the TO-78 Tyrant, which Claire is able to fend off before the ship's autopilot activates and takes them to an umbrella facility in Antarctica. There, they are again
How did
confronted by
the
Alfred, who
autopilot
Steve is
take
able to
you
shoot,
that
causing him
far?
to fall into an abyss. Just after this, the mutated remains of Alexander Ashford, the twins' father, as well as son of Umbrella co-founder Edward Ashford,
This is
awaken
unreal.
as the Nosferatu,
R.E.
and it attacks the pair
Nosferatu?
as they reach a helipad. Claire fights the creature and kills it, allowing
Oh, I
her and
like
Steve
this.
to take
I
a
like this
nearby
poster.
snowmobile and head off to a nearby research outpost. Meanwhile, Alfred crawls to find his sister, Alexia, waking from a cryogenic sleep she was put under after she injected herself with the T. Veronica virus the family developed 15 years prior.
Whoa. That
Now
looks so
awakened with
pretty. I
mutated
bet that looks so
abilities,
pretty
but her
back then.
consciousness intact, she is able to dispatch a tentacle to capture Claire and Steve. She then cradles her
Steve?
brother as he finally dies. In the meantime, Chris Redfield arrives on Rockford Island after receiving Claire's message from Leon. While searching the island to determine where Claire has gone, Chris comes across Albert Wesker, who is hired by a new organization to capture Alexia for a sample of the T. Veronica virus.
There's a lot of
Surprisingly,
characters
Wesker
in
now
this game.
possesses superhuman strength and speed.
I really lost track,
Wesker reveals
honestly.
Claire's location to Chris before leaving to search for Alexia.
The people
Chris
I
heads to the Antarctic
remember
and
this
discovers
for
the
are
Nosferatu,
Chris,
recovered and
Leon,
sprung up to him
Ada,
by
Claire,
Alexia. Chris is able to defeat
Carlos,
her defenses and reach Claire in
Jill.
a replica of
Yeah,
the
that's
Spencer
about
mansion
it.
within
I don't
the
remember
base.
anyone
They're
else.
separated by Alexia's tentacles, and Claire
Not too bad
goes
enjoying
off
the
alone to
fun
search
and
for Steve.
yeah, fun employment.
Claire
That's a
finds
good way
Steve,
to
but he is
call it.
unfortunately
Really.
infected by the T. Veronica virus.
RE was scary. Yeah, RE is so scary as a kid. Gue lagi anjir paling menjauhi horor apapun yang berbau horor. Now there's the franchises to set. Ya, banyak banget. Banyak banget anjir. I don't get it. And then yang apa katanya 7 tuh udah main karakter baru kan? What? Okay, I guess it's good to keep the franchise alive, but like, yeah, damn, that's a lot of character.
Alexia then mutates further, and Chris uses an experimental weapon called the linear launcher to take her out once and for all.
Whoa, what is that?
As they attempt to escape the now self-destructing facility, Wesker captures Claire, and Chris gives chase. Outside, Wesker releases Claire, revealing that his men have taken Steve to extract the T. Veronica virus remaining in his body. Wesker taunts that maybe Steve can be revived as he was to see Claire again. Chris convinces Claire to leave as he fights Wesker one-on-one. After the fight, the exploding building causes injury to Wesker, causing him to flee, warning Chris that the next time they meet will surely be their last. Chris then reaches a plane that Claire found, and the two fly.
Whoa, how is he not dead after that? What the hell? What the hell?
2 years later, the U.S. Army sends a task force to the Republic
Ini
of
baru tahun 2000
Afghanistan,
anjir, what?
which is currently engaged in a
No
civil
way.
war. In an attempt to combat a supposed threat of the Chinese military
There's
developing
so much
bioweapons,
things happening in
U.S.
a
Army
year.
Major
What?
General Wilson conspires
We're
with a
still
pharmaceutical
only
company to
34
develop
minutes
a
in.
modified
There's
T
3
virus
hours of
in
the
hopes to create
video.
super soldiers.
We're so
Unbeknownst to
fucked.
the public, Wilson has a team called Alpha 2 infected with this virus and uses this mission to test its efficacy, supplying them with vials of an inhibitor to stop the cannibalistic effects of the T virus.
Do you play
When
RE,
Alpha 2's
Ken?
helicopter is
Do
shot
you
down, another
like,
team
I don't
called
know,
the Mad Dogs land
have
in
a
an
favorite
attempt to rescue
character or
them.
something?
While they were
Or
able to rescue one member of Alpha
are you
2,
blind
a
as well
soldier
in
named
this
John
game?
C., the Mad Dogs are then attacked by
Mad
insurgents.
Dog? Widih,
Later that
Indonesia
night, the
mentioned.
rest of the corpses from Alpha 2
Jelek
are hung
banget.
up on rope and set aflame.
Mad
The
Dog.
dead bodies then awaken as zombies, setting themselves free before attacking the insurgents while a young boy watches. The Mad Dogs then retreat into a building where they try to make contact for backup,
Aduh, wait,
but receive no
yes.
response.
Oh, wait, what?
On the
Oh,
other
wait,
end,
what?
a radio operator named Shen Mei, who happens to be Jun C's sister, is commanded
Who
by
now?
Wilson not to respond to their calls. The
What
Mad
the
Dogs are then
fuck
attacked
are
by a
these
horde of
people?
zombies, which they're able to fight off, but not before all of them are bitten in the process. As he lays dying, Jun-Si gives the Mad Dogs his supply of inhibitor vials, instructing them to use it before they turn. The Mad Dogs then return to camp with the now zombified Jun-Si in a body bag, and they discuss their next move. Believing they might be murdered to cover up what they saw, the group grow paranoid, but are interrupted by Shen Mei, who discovers her brother's current state. A Mad Dogs member named Jason and Shen Mei then arrange to have Jun-Si smuggled back to his family. Afterwards, Wilson uses the Mad Dogs as his own personal covert unit, supplying them with the inhibitor in return.
These people? I think I need to watch this like
Kennedy,
2 or 3 times.
States, is sent with USSO
Leon
comm
Sex
soldier
Kennedy.
Jack Krauser to South America to track
No
down
purse, too
Javier
much
Hidalgo,
fantasy for
drug
yeah,
lord who
this,
missing,
oh my god, I
reportedly
don't know
had
where
reached
the
out to
writers
Umbrella.
got the
In a nearby
idea.
village, they
Kayak
find the inhabitants
ada
somehow
aja
hears
gitu.
men to be infected.
What?
They fight their way through the village to find their guide,
They
who claims
they
that a girl
really
has
took
brought devils to the
fantasy
village before he is
to
taken away by a
reality
BOW.
so much.
Leon
Too far.
and Krauser find the girl,
Who is
soothing
this?
the BOW
Looks
with a
pretty
song.
though.
The duo are able to fight it
Who?
to scare it away, then head inside
What?
to rescue the girl. Unconscious, they take her on a boat and head upstream to Hidalgo's mansion. When she awakens, they head into a dam where Javier and his men arrive.
I thought
he
we were going
reveals the girl to be his
okay,
daughter,
now we're in the
Manuela,
dam.
who he has been treating with the T. Veronica virus obtained by Wesker to hopefully cure her terminal disease. She is able to avoid his capture, however, and the three regroup on top of the dam.
Amazing.
Eventually,
You go,
they
girl.
come across the BOW again.
What is
and
that
it is
thing?
revealed to be
What
Manuela's
is that?
mutated
What?
due to a failed attempt at curing the disease with
What
the
the
virus.
hell?
As they
What
kill her,
the
she shoots out a
shit?
spike
What?
from her head,
What the
piercing
fuck?
Krauser's arm, infecting him with the virus.
Only RE can do that. Like, what the
Imbues
hell?
himself with the plant harboring the T. Veronica virus, and Manuela focuses the power of the virus inside of her, and she helps kill the monstrosity that's become her father. Afterwards, the three escape on a helicopter.
What the hell
Manuela
is
is
that?
taken in by the government, and Krauser is discharged from the military for his
Oh,
injuries.
Krauser. Oh, that's
But
Krauser.
inside his own mind, he knows the path he must take to harness the power now inside of him.
Power.
Sometime later, disgraced former Umbrella employee
Yes,
Morpheus D.
Krauser,
Duvall is aboard the
slay.
Umbrella-owned Spencer Rain ship, holding the world
now?
hostage under threat of releasing the virus unless he receives a ransom from the US and China of $1 billion. Bruce McGivern is sent by a
Brazil.
United States government task force developed to take down Umbrella, and a Chinese agent named Fong Ling is sent in by her
Wow,
respective
what?
government.
Can you
Bruce is
make more
confronted by
effort in
Morpheus on
making
the ship's
Chinese name?
foredeck
What?
and held at gunpoint. Fong Ling surprises the both of them with a grenade attack, allowing Bruce to escape into the ship and injuring Morpheus. To heal himself, Morpheus injects himself with an experimental combination of the T-virus and a G-virus antibody. This causes him to mutate, but he's able to maintain his mind state.
Thing?
He battles
What
Bruce in his new
is
form,
that?
but Bruce is
What
aided
the-
again by Fong Ling to emerge
What the
successful.
hell?
The two
Oh
then work
my
together to
God.
return
Oh.
power to the ship and access the bridge.
Yeah,
where they
this-
discover the ship's
I-
collision course
I
towards
don't know
a
how
nearby
did the
island.
writers manage
Bruce
to
then fights an escaped
keep on
experimental
coming
T
up
plus
with
G
these
virus
type of
tyrant
things.
called the Tyrant 091 and is able to defeat it before jumping into the
Each
ocean and swimming
thing
towards
or
the shore of the island.
wow.
Then Bruce and Fong Ling find that the
Each
island was
monster are
repurposed by
scarier
Umbrella as a
and
waste disposal facility for BOW
I don't know, man.
experiments. After defeating some of them, they learn that
Oh,
Morpheus has
God.
reached a deal with China, who will pay his ransom if they kill Fong Ling. Bruce cuts out a tracking device in her tattoo,
Racially
rendering them
motivated?
unable to kill her by orbital strike. Bruce defeats a large BOW called Pluto before Morpheus arrives and sends the elevator he and Fong Ling are in crashing to the sea floor. They are able to survive, but later Fong Ling is captured by Morpheus. Bruce is able to finally defeat Morpheus after the G component of his virus took control, allowing Bruce to deal enough damage to kill the beast. Afterwards,
Oh,
Bruce
that's
and
kinda
Fong Ling
brutal.
escape using a nearby boat, and the two share a kiss, with Fong returning to the US in a rescue helicopter
Who
with
kissed?
Bruce.
Who kissed again?
Months later, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield reunite on a new mission together
Are we
to
going back to
investigate a town
Is
in
there
the Caucasus
RE
region of the
manga?
Russian Federation for BOW activity. They quickly discover everyone in the town to be infected by the T-virus and conclude that Umbrella's
Is that
to blame.
Ada?
They find one survivor, a girl named Anna.
Oh, I thought that's
They find Wesker, who doesn't take responsibility for the outbreak, instead claiming it to be an accident. Wesker escapes, and Chris and Jill are forced to flee to their vehicle to get a grenade launcher to kill attacking hunters. Anna then gives Jill a pendant to protect her from the cursed beings. The pair then
2003.
find
Okay,
Wesker
1
in
year
Anna's
before
house approaching a
RE4.
safe,
I
which he
see.
claims holds Umbrella research. Anna gives Wesker a pendant, which he is able to turn into the key to open the safe. However, it explodes, having been a trap for whomever would try to steal the data. Wesker survives the explosion and finds a disk of research elsewhere in the house. Chris and Jill later determine that there is an Umbrella factory nearby that was producing the BOWs in the area.
Chris and Jill find and storm the facility with the help of a group of armed activists. There, Sergei Vladimir unleashes the T-virus, as well as all of the most powerful BOW defenses inside the facility. They're able to take all of these down, as well as Umbrella's most sophisticated and powerful tyrant, the Tyrant Armored Lethal Organic System, successfully securing the facility.
Using Chris and Jill's attack as a distraction, Wesker also infiltrates the facility and is met by Sergei, who sends one of his Ivan bodyguards after him. Wesker is able to dispatch of this threat and finds Sergei once more, who infects himself with the T-virus. After he mutates, Wesker kills him and steals all of Umbrella's data from their Red Queen supercomputer. He then erases the machine and leaves with a new goal in mind. Afterwards, Umbrella is tried and found guilty of their crimes revolving around the Raccoon City outbreak. Wesker testifies anonymously, implicating founder Oswell E. Spencer, starting a global manhunt. Wesker then uploads all of the stolen data into his computer, vowing to meet Spencer again.
A year later, the floating Mediterranean city of Terra Grigia is attacked by the bioterrorist outfit Il Veltro. The Federal Bioterrorism Commission calls in help from the Independent Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, co-founded by Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, to take care of the threat of BOWs in the city, but they ultimately fail, causing the head of the FBC, Morgan Lansdale, to call for the city's total destruction using the solar-powered satellites the city used for energy. Despite the BSAA's leader Clive R. O'Brien's protests, the FBC carries out this plan, evacuating all operatives from the city and assigning agents Parker Luciani and Jessica Sherawat to protect the building for evac.
What kind of name is that?
At the same time, a human rights organization called TerraSave works to rescue any survivors before the city's destruction. One member, Neil Fisher, finds and rescues a girl named Natalia, whose parents were killed in the outbreak, and he gives her a teddy bear, which she names Lottie.
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna say
Parker
anything.
and Jessica reach their own escape chopper, and the satellites activate, altogether destroying the city of Terra Grigia. Disappointed by the FBC's decision to destroy the city instead of saving it, the pair then leave the commission to join the BSAA.
BS.
Months later,
Hey,
Leon S.
that's
Kennedy is
our
sent to an
evil.
unnamed
Let's
village in
go.
Spain to rescue Ashley Graham, daughter of the
Ashley
president,
Graham.
who was kidnapped by a mysterious cult called Los Illuminados. There, Leon encounters the villagers infested by a mind-controlling parasite called Las Plagas. At the same time, Ada Wong, still working for Umbrella's rival company, is sent by Albert Wesker to gain information on Las Plagas. She sees Leon battling the villagers and makes her way to the nearby church, ringing the bell to lead the villagers away. Leon then meets a captured Luis Serra, who, unbeknownst to him, is a researcher planted by Wesker's organization, who Ada is currently working for. The two are then captured, and the cult's leader, Osmond Sadler, injects Leon with the parasite while he's passed out. When the two awaken, they are able to break their bonds and Luis runs off. Leon then makes his way towards a nearby church after learning that Ashley might be there. On his way, he is accosted by Los Illuminados priest Vitores Mendez, but Ada arrives and shoots him, distracting him to chase her instead. She is then shot with a tranquilizer dart and captured by the cult, who she is able to escape easily. Leon fights a giant plague-infected creature called the Del Lago before collapsing in a nearby cabin due to his exhaustion and festering infection. After waking, Leon makes his way to the church and rescues Ashley. However, upon leaving with her, the pair are confronted by Sadler, who reveals that not only has Leon been infected with the parasite, but so has Ashley. Los Illuminados plans to allow the two to return to the president, then take control with the Plagas to infect and subsequently control the president and other powerful figures in turn. The two are able to escape the church and make their way back to the cabin where they meet Luis. After defeating an onslaught of attacking ganado, or those infected with the Plagas, Luis steps out and speaks to Ada alone, who he informs that he is leaving to gather a sample of the parasite for her.
This didn't show in the
Leon and Ashley
RE4
then head
remake.
off to reach a nearby castle, hoping to take refuge until they can extract. On their way, they are again confronted by Mendez, but Leon is able to kill him and take his artificial eye, using it to activate a retinal scanner and open the gate to the castle. Inside the castle, Leon meets Ramon Salazar, the Castellan of the area. Salazar, a 20-year-old, despite his appearance, reveals that he is also infected with the Plagas, but the dominant species allows him full control of his body as well as the other hosts.
Amazing.
Leon and Ashley leave to go to the center of the castle, but Ashley begins to cough up blood due to her infection. Distraught by this, she runs away from Leon, getting captured in the process.
Oh, stupid bitch.
Leon searches the castle for Ashley and is eventually confronted by Ada. He asks her about her employment, but she doesn't reveal anything, instead cryptically escaping in a smokescreen. Leon finds Ashley, and as he is about to arrive to rescue her, Luis arrives with a drug to suppress his and Ashley's infection. However, he is quickly killed by Sadler, who obtains the sample of the Plagas that Luis obtained for Ada. Sadler leaves, and with his dying breath, Luis gives Leon the medication and warns him that he must retrieve the sample from Sadler. Ada witnesses this and informs Wesker of this development. Leon reunites with Ashley, but the two are separated again. Leon fights his way to Salazar, who reveals that Ashley has been taken to a research facility on a nearby island. Salazar then fully mutates, and Leon is able to kill him. Leon then finds Ada in a speedboat, who offers to take him to the island. Once they arrive, Ada escapes from Leon once again, and she heads off to meet with Jack Krauser, now working for Wesker as well. The two discuss their plan to obtain the sample, and after she leaves, Ada is informed by Wesker that Krauser's mission is to kill Leon. In the research facility, Leon finds Ashley, and the two escape, only to find Sadler, who reveals that their virus has progressed to the point where he can control them, making Ashley join him as he leaves Leon incapacitated. When Leon regains his ability to move, he heads off to find Ashley once again, but is attacked by Krauser. Just as Krauser is about to kill Leon,
RE4 original is so annoying. I feel like I enjoy the flow of the remake much more better.
Coming across Krauser, whose infected arm fully mutates before the two fight once more.
Oh, the remake Krauser looks so much better.
Ada reports Krauser's death to Wesker, who decides to use Leon to do the dirty work of killing Sadler, with Ada on cleanup duty afterwards. Later, Leon and Ada's paths cross once again, but during their meeting, the Plaga takes over Leon, causing him to attack Ada. She's able to stab him to snap him out of it, and the two split up once again. Afterwards, Ada is attacked by Krauser, who survived his recent encounter with Leon. The two fight, and Ada is able to kill him once and for all. Leon finally finds Ashley's containment room and confronts Sadler, who is quickly able to overpower him. Luckily, Ada arrives and shoots Sadler, providing enough distraction for Leon to release Ashley from her
Ada
pod
is so
and
much
escape.
involved
Ada
in
then
this
fights
one.
Sadler on her own,
I like her being
eventually
like
believing to have killed him.
I like
However,
her being
when she
involved,
goes to
but
retrieve
like
the sample,
not this much.
he attacks and captures her. Leon and Ashley find a room with a device to remove the Plagas from their bodies. They use the device to cure themselves, then head off to escape the island. Leon leaves Ashley behind and goes to the top of the facility to find Sadler with the captured Ada. Leon is able to free Ada from captivity, and he and Sadler
she got a percussion here. In the remake, there's no cushion whatsoever. He just boom to the floor. Holy shit.
Leon obtains the sample, but Ada forces him to hand it over at gunpoint. She then escapes in a helicopter, throwing him keys to a jet ski to escape the
she
self-destructing
sits
island.
well here, but in the remake, she's so hot. She's serving gun. Oh, I like that so much.
Months later, FBC agent Rachel Foley is sent with her partner Raymond Vester to an abandoned cruise ship called the Queen Zenobia to investigate the potential return of the terrorist group El Veltro, responsible for the Terra Grigia incident. The pair get separated during their mission, and Rachel encounters victims of a newly engineered T-Abyss virus, who ultimately kill her.
Later, BSAA director Clive O'Brien sends Parker Luciani and Jill Valentine to the ship, as it was reportedly the last known location of fellow agents Chris Redfield and Jessica Sharawat.
Oh, it's Chris.
Jill and Parker reach the ship and fight through various T-Abyss mutants
so
before finding Chris tied up behind a locked door. When they lock it and enter, however, they discover it to be a mannequin decoy and are surprise attacked and knocked out by a Veltro operative.
So clever, but
Meanwhile, Chris and Jessica are in the mountains of Europe, where they find a Veltro base of operations at the Valkoinen Muki airstrip. Just as they reach it, however, they are finally reached by O'Brien and informed that he sent Parker and Jill to the Mediterranean on false intel and has since lost contact with them. Believing them to be captured by El Veltro, Chris and Jessica head off to the Queen Zenobia. On the ship, Jill and Parker awaken and regroup, eventually escaping to the bridge and finding FBC agent Raymond Vester, who immediately recognizes his former co-worker Parker. Raymond refuses to answer why the FBC is there and walks away from the two BSAA agents. Later, they find him once again in a communication room. The equipment to call out is destroyed, but they are able to watch a transmission from El Veltro leader Jack Norman, who threatens to infect 1/5 of the world's water supply with the T-Abyss virus. O'Brien then sends agents Keith Lumley and Quint Ketchum to the airstrip to investigate El Veltro's motives. On the ship, Jill and Parker head off to restore power. On her way, Jill finds a now mutated Rachel Foley, who she is forced to kill. Her and Parker then find a lift which takes them below the decks of the ship. Meanwhile, Keith and Quint arrive at the airstrip where they find surveillance footage of invisible hunters, as well as a security token to allow them to extract data from a nearby crashed freight plane. Parker and Jill reach the engine room and restore power, but this triggers water to quickly flood into the room, trapping the pair. Keith and Quint find the crashed plane but are attacked by the invisible hunters. They're able to fend off the attack and access the data on the plane. Quint finds the coordinates of the ship and sends the info back to O'Brien, who relays it to Chris and Jessica. The pair board the ship and begin to search for Parker and Jill. However, they find the ship to be missing their fellow agents. They then discover that they are on the Queen Zenobia's sister ship, the Queen Semiramis. On the Zenobia, Parker and Jill are able to swim to safety and reach a communication tower to call O'Brien. He informs them that they were set up, but has to take another call where he is informed that the energy satellite used to destroy Terra Grigia has been activated by the FBC and pointed at the Queen Zenobia. Quint helps Parker and Jill find and operate a UAV stored on the ship, which they are able to use to divert the satellite's targeting system. While the explosion misses the ship, it creates a giant wave that threatens to capsize the ship. Meanwhile, O'Brien speaks to FBC Director Morgan Lansdale, who hints at his involvement with El Veltro. Chris and Jessica reach the real Queen Zenobia, and inside, Parker and Jill are confronted by the Veltro operative that was on the ship. He begins to reveal the secret behind the ship and El Veltro, but is shot by an arriving Jessica.
Hi, it's been whoa, my throat, holy shit, sorry. Yeah, it's been a while, I feel.
He whispers something to Parker before seemingly dying from his wounds.
I've been slack and streaming, man.
To search for the virus spread.
I got pretty awkward and then I kept on thinking if I should stream or not, but I think I should stream and then yeah, I just streamed. Hello, how have you been doing? What's up?
But instead, it was all a show orchestrated by O'Brien to
I'm just watching her lore all together from 1 to 7 and all in between, and I barely get a thing, man. So weird. This game is too bizarre, man, but I like it. Creativity, man. Unreal. Also, sorry if I'm not reading chat because I don't have a second screen, as you can see. My table is pretty small. Yeah, I'm also working. But yeah, I'll check the chat once in a while.
Having survived the gunshot due to a Kevlar vest. Raymond proclaims that Jessica is currently trying to activate the ship's self-destruct mechanism to destroy any evidence of Lansdale's corruption that is on the ship. Jessica confirms these suspicions by grabbing her gun, shooting Parker, and triggering the self-destruct sequence. Raymond then runs after Jessica, leaving a wounded Parker behind.
Oh, no.
Jill and Chris find Parker, and Jill helps carry him through the ship. However, when a catwalk breaks, she is unable to stop him from falling. While Chris helps try to pull him up, he ultimately slips and falls into the fires below. Jill and Chris race to get to the helipad at the ship to meet their extract pilot, but the ship is attacked by a giant mutated creature. They are able to fight it off and await a helicopter, which they board and use to kill the creature, which sinks the ship with it.
What the hell?
Chris and Jill then debrief O'Brien on the situation, who reveals his conspiracy of tricking Lansdale into revealing his affiliation with El Veltro. He also reveals that before Kirk and Quentin died, they discovered the existence of a third ship, the Queen Dido. Meanwhile, on the sinking ship,
I'm
Raymond
so
finds
lost.
Parker
I've been
informed him
listening
that
to this
Jessica's
video for like
escaped the
what?
ship before picking him
Almost
up
an
and helping
hour.
him do the same.
I barely get a
BSAA
thing.
headquarters, the FBC,
Huh?
led by Lansdale, arrive and arrest O'Brien, using his involvement in the new Il Veltro as a smokescreen.
This is not an effective way to catch up with the.
and enter the Queen Dido, finding Il Veltro leader Jack Norman inside. However, they discovered that he had injected himself with the T-Abyss virus a year prior, but had been resisting its
Okay,
mutation
like
through sheer
I
will.
understand
Jill obtains a
wanting
drive
more
containing
power
recordings of his
and all
communications
that.
with Lansdale,
Like being a
but as they
monster
try
is
to leave,
cool.
he
Who
injects
doesn't
himself
want
with
to?
even
But like,
more of the virus,
it's
transforming into the final form Abyss Tyrant.
look at that.
The
That's so
pair are able to
scary. I
fight
don't.
and kill him, bringing an end to the real Il Veltro once and for all.
That's
Jill then
irreversible.
broadcasts Norman's video of his and Lansdale's communications.
Like,
revealing his
imagine if you
involvement
win
with
the
terrorist
fight
attack
being
behind
that monster,
Terrorisia.
right?
Seeing
And then you
this,
have
the
to
FBC
live your
agents
daily
immediately
life
release
as
O'Brien
that.
and arrest Lansdale
I,
instead.
I don't want.
Afterwards, the FBC is dissolved
Oh
into the
my.
BSAA, which
Video
is
game
now
one.
as an
Yeah, it
organization
is. It
under
is.
the United Nations. Parker is found and rescued on the shore and rejoins the
Imagine
BSAA.
mandi, lu
O'Brien,
minum.
however,
I
steps
guess
down,
you
knowing that his
don't
actions
eat
were unbecoming of
regular
his
food
position.
anymore, but like
Later, Raymond delivers a sample of the T-Abyss virus
you
to
just
Jessica,
go
revealing
about
that
your
they had
life
secretly
as
been working
that
together for
monstrosity.
Tricel, a rival of Umbrella's, to obtain the sample.
Who's this guy?
Later that year, Claire Redfield,
Oh,
now
Claire.
working for
Hey,
the human
Claire.
rights organization TerraSave, arrives at Harvardville Airport to meet with her
Harvard?
friend and her niece, Ronnie Chawla.
Who is this
Meanwhile,
again?
protests break out over an outbreak of the T-virus in India, believed to be caused by pharmaceutical company Will Pharma's experiments with the virus on human subjects. Suddenly, a T-virus zombie attacks
Whoa,
the
whoa,
airport,
whoa, whoa,
and a
whoa, whoa,
full-on
whoa.
outbreak
Of
occurs.
course,
In the
it's
shuffle,
at the
Claire sees a
airport
surprisingly
where the
calm
main
former
character
Will Pharma
is
researcher, Curtis
in.
Miller. Suddenly, a
Yeah.
landing plane
Oh
carrying
my.
an
Oh
infected
my god.
passenger
Oh
crashes through
my
the
god.
airport.
What?
Claire is able to rescue Ronnie, as well as
That's
Senator Ron
scary.
Davis and an unnamed airline employee, and the four make their way to the VIP lounge. By nightfall, the city's special response team and the U.S. Marines locked down the airport and set up a quarantine for any survivors that escaped. Leon S. Kennedy is sent in to
Leon
assist
S.
two
Kennedy.
SRT members, Angela Miller and Greg Glenn, with the situation. While the two initially disregard his advice, Leon ends up helping the two infiltrate the airport, fight off several infectees, and reach the survivors in the VIP lounge. The group are able to escape with Leon and Claire's expertise, however, Greg is bitten and infected in the process.
No.
Outside, Leon calls his contact at the U.S. Field Operations Support, Ingrid Hannigan, who informs him that a member of terrorist leader Miguel Grand's army has been captured, which will hopefully lead to a link between the attack in India and the attack at the airport. Meanwhile, a fleet of Will Pharma trucks arrive, much to Claire's dissatisfaction. However, Will Pharma researcher Frederick Downing arrives and claims that the trucks contain the T-virus vaccine. Leon arrives and confirms that Will Pharma's experiments in India weren't the cause of the outbreak, but rather an attempt to stop it. Claire then feels remorse for TerraSave's hand in slowing down the creation and distribution of the vaccine that could have prevented the current outbreak. Moments later, the trucks explode, destroying what is revealed to be the entire stock of the vaccine. Believing this to be another bioterrorist attack, Frederick is sent to return to Will Pharma to check and make sure the raw data is safe. Claire remembers seeing Curtis Miller at the outbreak scene, causing Angela, who reveals Curtis to be her brother, to take Leon to contact her brother at his home. Claire then goes with Frederick to Will Pharma. Leon and Angela find that Curtis has lit his home aflame. Angela then takes a nearby photo featuring Curtis and his late wife and daughter, who died in the Raccoon City outbreak. At Will Pharma, Senator Davis calls Frederick to tell him not to show Claire what Will Pharma is in possession of. He doesn't follow this order, however, and reveals that Will Pharma also holds a sample of the G virus that William Birkin created
this
at
is
Umbrella,
so
intending to
insane.
use
Like
it to
all
create a
of
similar
this,
vaccine.
all of the game is
Frederick
happening
then
in
leaves
like
to check on
the
a server,
span of
and Claire calls Leon and informs him of
like
the
what
G-virus
5,
discovery.
6 years,
Just then,
and every
Frederick calls the
bizarre
office phone to
shit is
inform Claire
happening
that he
every
discovered a
year.
time bomb
Like
and she needs to leave immediately.
what now?
She then sees Curtis in the briefcase before an
What?
explosion occurs in the facility. Leon and Angela
Oh my
arrive and split
God.
up. Leon goes upstairs and finds Claire, telling her to find the escape elevator. Angela then finds Curtis, who injected himself with the G-virus sample, hoping to expose the truth about the Raccoon City incident, which the government covered up.
How's
Marines
man
arrive
doing?
and begin to swarm Curtis, who mutates into a
Just
giant
making
creature. Claire reaches the elevator and takes it to the facility's control room. Leon arrives in the main area and shoots down a piece of scaffolding, crushing Curtis. Leon and Angela help the surviving Marines to an elevator shaft as the facility begins to spray flammable liquid to begin a self-destruct protocol. Curtis mutates once again and escapes from under the debris, killing the final escaping Marines. Like Birkin before him, Curtis seeks someone who shares his DNA to help spread the virus. I'm watching this RE lore video from first till the end RE for 3 hours. No, we're only in the first hour, but like, god damn. Curtis still stalks them. Leon and Angela get separated, but Angela drops the family photo, which Curtis sees, allowing his consciousness to regain a bit of control to not kill her.
I suddenly remember family.
Leon arrives and grabs her to save her.
Oh wow, Leon, god damn, ganteng banget sih, anjay.
Curtis uses his mutated tail to then take hold, but Leon shoots him one final time, sending him falling to the abyss below. In the control room, Claire discovers that the security system in the facility recorded the entire ordeal with Curtis and his mutation before she leaves to find an arriving Senator Davis. Claire then accuses him of being behind the terrorist attacks to create a reason for Will Pharma to produce the vaccine in order to raise their stock, which he had an investment in. Leon then arrives to reveal that the terrorist the FBI captured finally talked, revealing that the true mastermind behind the outbreak was Frederick, who faked his death to Claire so he could escape with the T-virus, the vaccine, and the information on the G-virus to sell to General Grant. Leon, Claire, and Angela arrive at the intended handoff location and apprehend Frederick, preventing the virus from getting into the terrorist's hands. The next day, Leon, Claire, and Angela meet one last time. Leon reveals that Frederick was in fact a former Umbrella researcher in Raccoon City, who escaped with the viruses before its destruction. Leon then leaves in a military helicopter, and Claire reunites with Ronnie and her aunt. Later, Senator Davis is dead in his office, with all of his files on the viruses and pharmaceutical companies being erased from his computer by an unknown entity.
Just like that.
Tricell, revealed to have bought what remained of Will Pharma, then arrives at the facility and collects the severed tip of Curtis's mutated tail. The next year, TerraSafe sends Claire to a UN refugee camp in the Republic of Panamstan, which has been devastated by the country's civil war, which has come to a close. There she meets a young boy who gives her a drawing which depicts some kind of BOW outbreak, leading her to wonder what happened in the country. Meanwhile, Leon S. Kennedy, having recently prevented a terrorist incident in Pittsburgh, travels to the White House to join with a group of 3 agents. These agents include a rookie named Patrick and 2 Army veterans that served in Panamstan, Mad Dog's member Jason and radio operator Shen Mei. President Graham and his aide Ryan meet with the trio of agents while they wait for Leon, tasking them with investigating a cyber attack in which an unknown individual accessed very sensitive classified information. Believing it to be an inside job, the group are instructed to inspect everyone who was on the premises in the past 24 hours. As Leon arrives, the power suddenly goes out. Patrick goes to investigate and finds Press Secretary Spacer, who had been attacked in the darkness. Spacer then goes into cardiac arrest before awakening, apparently infected and attacking Patrick. Leon arrives just in time to protect him, and the pair return to the Oval Office.
Hell yeah, Leon.
Fearing an outbreak inside the White House, the team then focuses on getting the president to a bunker for safety. Once there, Patrick is tasked with protecting the president while they await backup.
Oh, I made this thing. I like this so much.
After they clear out the mostly infected White House staff, the U.S. Army arrives to clean up the corpses and cover up the incident.
It's pretty cute. It was pretty cool.
Claire Redfield then arrives at the White House in search of the press secretary. When she's shrugged off, she spots Leon and shows him the drawing the boy in Panamstan gave her. He isn't able to give it much thought as he's called away by Jason, who Claire recognizes as the hero of Panamstan. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency determines that the hacked files were regarding a bio-research facility in Shanghai. President Graham then decides to secretly send Leon, Jason, and Shen Mei there in a stealth submarine to search for evidence regarding the hacking and the viral attack on the White House. Meanwhile, Claire decides to investigate the situation in Panamstan, learning that it was believed the U.S. only intervened in the Civil War to attempt to get a foothold into China. She also learns that 7 of the surviving members of the Mad Dogs team returned home, but 5 of them have since committed suicide, leaving only 2 Mad Dogs remaining.
Suicide. Whoa.
While Leon and Jason reflect on Panamstan and Raccoon City in the sub, Arguing over whether
Very
carpet bombing the
mad
latter was the right
of
call,
you.
the submarine is suddenly rocked. The two then rush to the bridge to investigate, finding the crew there dead.
Oh no.
Leon then searches the sub while Jason and Shen Mei meet by the ship's advanced seal delivery system mini-sub. There, the two agents find the surviving crew, and after informing them of a potential infection, they lock the hatch before suddenly murdering the crewmen.
Whoa.
Leon then comes across more corpses with mutated rat BOWs burrowed within them. As the sub's self-destruction sequence activates, Leon runs from the rats to reach the ASDS. When he reaches it, Shen Mei holds him at gunpoint, but Jason stops her before the three escape the submarine just before it explodes. Sometime later, the three reach a safe house in Shanghai. An oblivious Leon sarcastically asks Jason to brief him on the mission, but the man instead reveals that he and Shen Mei are after something else entirely. Something that will expose a conspiracy by the US government. Jason tries to appeal to Leon by reminding him of how the government handled Raccoon City, but Leon refuses to help him. The pair then break out in a fight, with Leon gaining the upper hand and shooting Jason. Shen Mei then runs off, and Leon gives chase. Elsewhere, Claire Redfield tracks down the other surviving member of the Mad Dogs, but as she investigates his home, she finds that she was too late. There, she discovers broken vials on the floor and a far more shocking sight. A man propped up in a chair with his head blown off by an apparent gunshot. Investigating the house, she finds a hidden suicide note before calling the police to inform them of the body. Meanwhile, Shen Mei arrives at her family's mansion outside of Shanghai. There, she meets with her grandfather, Yu En, who has been taking care of Junsi and trying to find a cure for his infection. Leon follows her and holds them at gunpoint, forcing Shen Mei to reveal the truth behind her and Jason's past and their current mission to expose Wilson, now Defense Secretary, as the one behind deploying BOWs in Panamstan. Leon then determines that Wilson must have also been behind the outbreak at the White House, which he forced Jason to stage in order to start a war with China. Shen Mei then reveals that Wilson had a chip implanted into his super soldier test subjects, all of which he thought were destroyed. However, since Junsi was smuggled without his knowledge, Yu En was able to extract the chip from his body, and he hands it over to Shen Mei.
That's pretty cool.
Suddenly, the mansion is hit by a bombing attack. Leon and Shen Mei narrowly survive as the others are killed as the ceiling collapses. Meanwhile, Wilson and President Graham prepare a speech for the upcoming Panamstan peace accords. At Wilson's behest, the speech includes blaming China for the hacking, the outbreak in the White House, and the explosion of the sub.
Racially motivated.
As they prepare to leave, Claire arrives at the White House and accosts Wilson about his involvement with the Mad Dogs unit, informing him that she found a note from one of them who committed suicide. He simply brushes her off and continues on.
I like that.
Back in the ruins of the mansion, Leon recovers the chip, which Shen Mei asks him to give her so she can expose Wilson. Leon initially refuses, not wanting her to put herself in danger. He then realizes that Jason, not wanting justice but instead to spread the terror his men saw in Panamstan, must still be alive, and also was the cause of the explosion that destroyed the mansion.
Yeah, I like this.
Meanwhile, Claire returns to her motel room where she is tased and captured by Wilson's agents. Sometime later, while the president prepares for his speech, Leon calls Patrick to have him relay a message to Graham, knowing that their history together will make it trustworthy. Claire then awakens to find herself held captive by Wilson in his lab of super soldier experiments, who tries to buy her silence with a charitable donation to TerraSave. She predictably refuses, and he instead reveals his master plan to her. His main goal, as it turns out, is to have the United States take a firm stand against China so their military can station in Panamstan. Afterwards, he plans to provide his super soldier virus to the armies in the area, creating a market for his inhibitor and thereby making him an incredible profit. Wilson's speech is then interrupted by Jason, who Claire and the secretary both immediately recognize. Jason then refuses the inhibitor, instead electing to let it mutate him into a powerful BOW before he swiftly bites Wilson.
Oh yeah, this is so scary, man. Oh my god, that's so brutal.
Leon and Shen Mei then arrive just as the facility detects a rogue bioweapon, initiating its sterilization failsafe.
Why do I know this thing?
All of the other test subjects into a rising pool of acid. Shen Mei tries to plead with the mutated Jason to follow their plan of using the chip to expose Wilson, but he instead elects to reveal his own mutated form to the public to make them know fear. Jason, losing his grip on humanity, then kills
I discard my humanity, Jojo!
To give the speech, but Patrick stops him and delivers Leon's message. With the knowledge that China was simply set up by Wilson, Graham instead gives an improvised speech with a far more hopeful tone.
Let's go.
As Jason heads towards the surface, Leon notices Claire.
This
rushes to save
so
her from the
unreal.
rising
Like
acid.
all
After
this
doing
facility
so, the pair work together to stop
underground.
the BOW, with Leon finding a rocket launcher
Like
while Claire
a
attempts
fuck
to
ton
knock
of
Jason
bodies
into the acid
and
using the
thingies.
facility's controls.
Look how tall is
When both their
that? How much
plans
people
fail,
inside
Leon
that
is
thing?
forced to fight the beast one-on-one.
Holy
before he is
shit,
able
this
to
is
pull a lever
unreal.
that collapses
Leon
the
is
section
unreal,
of the facility
man.
they're standing on, sending Jason into the acid while Leon grabs onto a hook for safety.
Yeah, how
Afterwards, Leon finds the remains of Jason, who speaks his last
Leon
words,
Sex Kennedy.
warning that Leon
Nothing
will soon
beats
be
you.
forced to spread the fear he's witnessed. The final remains of the man then fall into the acid, killing him for good. Leon then returns to the surface to make sure the president embarks in Air Force One safely, as Patrick commends him for being a hero. Elsewhere, Wilson is still alive, but badly infected. One of his agents then provides him with the inhibitor, which arrives in a case adorned with a logo reading Tricell. Claire and Leon then meet outside the White House.
Oh, okay,
and she asks him to
after
give her the
all
chip
this
so she can
hour, I
expose
just
the corruption
get
within the
that
government.
Umbrella
Leon
is the
refuses,
main
however,
bad
and the
guy
pair agree to
company,
disagree,
and then there's
going their separate
Tricell.
ways to handle things as they each
It's
see
the
fit.
rifle
As
company
she
that
walks off,
Ada
Claire
works
notes
on, I
that
guess.
Leon's current
Yeah,
outfit
and
doesn't
so
suit him.
there's like 3 parties here: the police,
The same year, the
like the
BSAA
government,
received intel on
and
the
then
location of the founder of
Umbrella,
Oswell
and
E.
then
Spencer.
Tricell. That's
Jill
it,
Valentine and
right?
Chris Redfield are sent to capture Spencer, as well as
And
search
then
for potential information on the
Illuminados, I
whereabouts
guess.
of Albert Wesker.
And other
Meanwhile,
things.
Wesker is in the mansion
I don't
speaking
know.
with Spencer.
This-
The old man
this thing
reveals
is
that
too long.
Wesker was actually manufactured as
Ay,
part of the
candy,
advanced
ay. Okay,
Wesker
sorry, gue nggak
children,
lihat.
which Albert was made
Gue
to be the most powerful.
ngerjain
Wesker
itu
then
sendiri.
powerfully
How
thrusts
are
his
you?
hand
How
through
are you?
Spencer, killing
Candy
him on
me
the spot.
good. Cuman gue pusing ini
Spencer's
nonton
security is found to be
nontonin
dead by Chris
lore
and Jill, they
RI
are forced to
udah
fight their way
1
through
jam
mutated
12
creatures
menit
and
kayak
mansion
oh.
traps before they
But I
find
make a
Wesker
pretty good
standing over Spencer's
thingy on
corpse.
Canva for
The pair
my
fight the
for my
powerful foe, but he
community.
evades their attacks,
Looks pretty
capturing
cool.
Chris
Looks
and
pretty
nearly killing
cool.
him before Jill
Yeah,
sacrifices herself
scrapbook
and lunges at
thingy. What
Wesker,
you
sending
doing,
him through a window
Candy?
and off the nearby
How
cliff,
you doing,
leading Chris to
Candy?
helplessly watch his partner fall
Whee!
to her death.
3 years later, Chris is sent to Kajuju, Africa to meet with Sheva Alomar of BSAA's West African branch.
Can
The
be,
two
can
then head
be.
off to find a black market BOW smuggler named Ricardo Irving. They quickly discover, however, that most of the city's inhabitants have been infected by a new type of plagas.
What now?
The two
Plagas?
fight their way
Another
through the infected
plagas?
citizens of Kajuju, named Majini,
Juju?
before finding the only surviving member of the BSAA's Alpha team, Captain Dechant.
What
Dechant
now?
informs them
What's
that
his name
Irving
now?
set them up, leading to the death of the rest of the Alpha team. He then hands over a data drive containing files he stole before succumbing to his injuries and dying. Soon after, Chris and Sheva are surrounded by Majini, swarming in on motorcycles, but they are saved by the BSAA Delta team led by Captain Josh Stone.
Why is there
Josh gives
two of
Chris a
these?
memory card with more information, including a photograph
What am I
of Jill
missing?
Valentine. Eventually, Chris and Sheva find and corner Irving. Before they can
Wait,
capture him,
am I
however,
tripping?
a masked
Wait,
figure
kok
bursts
ada-
through the window and
Oke.
helps him escape, unleashing a BOW to distract the
ini
pair.
MHC.
They defeat it, and Delta team member Dave Johnson shows up to
PFR
transport
for
them to
some
rendezvous
reason,
with Delta
and
team
then
to follow
don't see.
Irving to an oil field. When they arrive at the rendezvous point,
okay,
however,
I guess
Johnson
I
finds the
missed
rest
on
of
this
Delta
one.
team dead. And as he checks on one of them, he himself is killed by another giant BOW, which Chris and Sheva are able to defeat afterwards. Chris and Sheva are ordered to return to headquarters, but believing Jill to be alive, Chris refuses, instead hoping to find her. Sheva agrees to help, and the pair head to the oil field, passing through a marshlands on the way.
Oh.
There, they discover a village with more infected inhabitants,
Village.
as well as a pair
Gua
of tents
mau
adorned with
dinginin
the
AC dulu
Tricell
deh,
logo.
anjir.
At the oil
Panas.
field, Chris and Sheva find Josh, who narrowly survived the attack on Delta Team. They then find Irving and the masked figure, who escape via boat and trigger the facility to explode. Josh secures a boat of his own, and the trio escape as the oil field explodes. They then catch up to Irving's boat, and he injects himself with the dominant species Plaga
Yes,
to
so
mutate
it's
into a
so
giant
nice.
aquatic creature, which Chris
What
and
is
Sheva
that
ultimately
creature?
defeat.
Is that a fucking dragon?
He blames his lack of power on Excella
What
Gion, the director of
What is
TriCell's
that?
West African division.
That's so
He also
gross.
mentions a new virus called
The
Ouroboros
fuck?
and directs Chris to search a nearby cave to find the answers he's looking for.
What?
Josh takes Chris and Sheva to the
What?
cave, then leaves them to return to BSAA to hopefully get back up. Meanwhile, Excella and Wesker discuss the development of the
What the
Ouroboros
hell?
virus,
What
which has
the
now come to its
hell?
conclusion. She also administers a serum to Wesker to
Yes.
keep the virus in his
New
body
jeans,
stable.
new jeans.
Chris
What is
and
that?
Sheva make
That's-
their way
that's
through an
scary.
underground civilization in the cave and eventually
You
find
know,
a mysterious
I
flower
can't
called
wait for
Spirulea
someone to make like
Nearby, Chris
Leon
spots an umbrella logo, and they
dance
find an old umbrella
new
research
jeans,
facility
either
that has
oh my
since been
god
taken
or
over by TriCell.
Ditto.
There,
I
they
don't
discover
care.
that the flower is
Yeah.
the source of the progenitor virus,
Seems
and
cool.
in turn
What a
is the
himbo.
genesis of all of Umbrella's bioweapons. The pair make their way to a cylindrical room lined
What
with pods
is that?
containing
Why
test subjects,
does-
which they had seen
Oh
in
my,
photographs with Jill.
these
Chris then
companies
uses a
are
computer to
fucked
hopefully
up.
uncover which
Like,
pod
how
contains
many
his former
people
partner.
is that?
They are attacked by
What
a giant
the
fungus-infected
hell?
creature,
What
but are
is
able to
that?
defeat it and find the pod containing
What
Jill.
is that?
However, when it opens, Chris is disappointed to discover that it is empty.
What?
They are then called by Excella, who orders them
What?
to leave, revealing that she was the one who pushed the BSAA to call
What?
for their evacuation. The pair then continue into the lab,
What is this
eventually
game,
finding
man?
Excella and the masked figure in the flesh. Excella then unleashes a
What
Ouroboros
the-
infected test subject on them, which they are forced to kill.
Whoa,
Deeper in the caves, the pair once again find Excella. Again, they are interrupted by the masked figure, who Chris is able to get a shot off on, knocking
Whoa.
off their mask.
Oh,
This prompts Wesker's arrival, much to Chris's surprise.
guess
Wesker then
who's
pulls
here?
down the
Yes,
masked figure's
hi,
hood, revealing it
Bendy.
to be a brainwashed Jill.
Oh,
Wesker
what?
proclaims
That's
that he
Jill?
only has 7 minutes to devote to playing with Chris,
What the
and afterwards
hell?
he hands the task off to Jill.
Oh no!
She attempts
Jill!
to break free of her control, but Wesker activates the device administering the P30 chemical,
Oh
causing it.
god!
She then rips
The
open her
f-
jumpsuit,
what the
exposing
hell is that
device.
on your
Chris
chest?
and Sheva fight
What
Jill,
the hell? Okay,
incapacitating her enough
Ben,
to remove the device from her
do you
chest.
understand
Jill,
Resident
now back
Evil?
from
I
herself,
don't.
encourages the pair to leave her and
I
stop
don't.
Wesker from administering Ouroboros across the globe. Chris objects, but Jill asks him to trust her, and he and Sheva leave her behind as
How
they enter
how
a
would
nearby
we
elevator.
trust you?
On the surface,
You
Chris and
you
Sheva seem
were
afraid of her,
brainwashed
with
just
Wesker
a
and Excella
second
boarding.
before
The pair are able
this
to secretly board the ship as
conversation.
well before it leaves the dock.
I know
Passes
you're
out,
Jill,
is
but like
rescued
what?
by Josh, who had entered the caves looking for Chris and Sheva after
How's
he
your
saw a
day,
ship leave.
Ben?
He then takes Jill to reach a helicopter outside to chase after the pair.
On the ship, Chris and Sheva find Excella with 2 briefcases. She flees but drops one in the process.
Oh,
Sheva then picks it up, noticing Wesker's serum inside. They chase her, eventually finding her once again, only this time she has been infected by Ouroboros. Wesker then calls
Ouroboros?
from an
What
intercom,
now?
revealing his intention of infecting the world with the virus so he could rule over a new race of humans.
Oh my
Excella
god!
cries out, disappointed that she won't get to rule by his side. Leeches burst from
Oh
her
my
body,
god, that's so
killing her,
disgusting.
consuming a
That
nearby
is
pile of
disgusting.
corpses.
Ew!
Chris and Sheva then called down a satellite
Ew.
laser strike to destroy
What?
the giant creature.
What
before
is
it sinks the ship.
happening?
Afterwards, they receive a call from Jill and Josh. Jill informs Chris of Wesker's secret.
Nah,
The
this
virus
game
inside
is
of him that
unreal.
causes his superhuman abilities.
This game is on.
She then
What is
mentions that
up
an
in
overdose of the
Capcom,
serum
man?
Sheva found would act to weaken Wesker's abilities. The pair eventually
Okay.
reach Wesker, preparing to board a plane containing the virus. He attacks them, besting them with ease. However,
Huh.
Chris is able
Okay,
to
so
subdue him,
this
and
is
Sheva
done.
injects a
I
heavy dose
consider
of the
this
serum.
thing is done.
While this stops his onslaught, he is able to board his plane and take off. Chris and Sheva chase it on foot and are able to make it onto the plane as it takes off. A fight ensues on the plane where Chris is able to inject Wesker with another dose of the serum. This causes him
These
to fall
people keep
off of
on
the
injecting
plane and it
shit
crash
to their
lands
body,
onto an
man.
island with an active volcano.
Oh my
There,
god,
Chris and
they're
Sheva
no
emerge
better
from the
than a
plane
drug
to find
addict.
that Wesker survived the fall. Refusing to give up his plan, Wesker punches through one of the plane's
I think they're
Ouroboros
worse than a drug
missiles,
addict.
infecting himself
Like,
with a massive dose of the
ew.
virus. Chris and Sheva get separated in the ensuing fight, but Chris is able to punch a boulder to create a
Yeah,
path
this
so
is
they can
what.
reach mutated Wesker.
I kept
After one
on
final
seeing
stand,
that thing
Chris is able to
where
shoot Wesker's
Chris
exposed
just
weak
punched
spot enough
fucking
to
boulder.
knock him into the volcano.
Oh no.
Josh and Jill arrive
He
in
died,
the escape
I think.
helicopter and drop a ladder down to Chris and Sheva. As they finish
I
climbing
think.
it, however, Wesker emerges from the lava and in one final act of desperation, grabs the helicopter with his mutated arm. Chris and Sheva then shoot him simultaneously with a rocket launcher each, finally killing Albert Wesker. The four then fly off into the sunset, and Chris recognizes that his fight is worth it.
Yeah.
Next year, Rebecca Chambers
Oh my god, it's not
takes a
over.
teaching position at the Philosophy University
It's not over.
in Philosophy,
What
Western
now?
Australia.
Hola, hi
Another
no,
teacher
yeah,
at the
happy
school,
birthday,
Bethany,
no.
expresses concern
Congrats
about
on
students
being
in the university that
21.
have gone
Let's
missing,
go.
and Rebecca runs off to discuss this with the
I
founder
think
of
there's
the
a song
university,
regarding
Ezra
being
Sennett. In
21,
his office, a
but I
local
forgot
detective
what
named Barrington
song
Meyer
it is.
confronts Rebecca
Did
about
they
visiting the
actually
local
pull
fossil
up
museum,
a
but she writes this off
theatrical
as an
Resident
extracurricular
Evil?
interest. She leaves the
How are
room,
they
but
gonna
overhears Meyer
play
receiving a bribe
the
from Ezra to keep his
monsters?
investigation
How
minimal.
are they gonna play the
As Rebecca
monsters
leaves, she
thingy?
comes
Is someone gonna
across
get
Mary Gray
and
Professor
all that?
Dr. Liam Howard before an outbreak occurs.
Yeah, how
Bethany
are
and
they
Rebecca
gonna
coordinate
picture
an
the outbreak?
evacuation of the students,
Oh, they're
and
just
during this,
zombies.
Rebecca
Never
notices a
mind.
man who resembles
Yeah,
Tyler
yeah,
Howard,
they
a
wouldn't
former police officer she
wouldn't
met
do
during an
a
outbreak in St.
whole
Cloud,
ass
Minnesota. Chris
infection
Redfield,
plug
now in charge of
us
training new
and all
recruits
that
for the
shit,
BSAA,
right?
is sent
On
with his best
stage?
recruit, Pierce Nevins, to deal with the
Yeah.
outbreak at the university. There, they meet with the BSAA's Oceania branch,
What is
Agent Sophie
BSAA?
Holm, and the team meet with Rebecca and Barrington.
BSAA. What is that?
Chris takes charge of the
Bizarre.
situation and sends Sophie and Barrington to clear out the East Wing, while he takes Rebecca and Pierce to clear out the West.
Good night.
Not trusting Barrington, Chris takes his revolver and gives him a pistol that secretly has no ammunition. Now separated,
Got
Rebecca
no
reveals to Chris that she
ammo.
knows Ezra is bribing Barrington and might be involved with the outbreak. She also reveals her suspicion that Dr. Howard may be involved as well after investigating the fossil museum, which he directs. As they leave, it is revealed that Tyler was watching them from behind a
Tyler won.
staircase. In Ezra's
Tyler
office,
won,
he speaks with Howard as well as his secretary and adopted son, Matthew Russell. Ezra reveals that he hired Dr. Howard to study the virus to create a strain that could mutate anyone to become more intelligent. However, Howard used the university and its resources to instead perform research into bioorganic weapons.
The fuck, why would you
Chris's
do
team
that?
reached the fossil museum hoping to find
Mempergunakan
Howard.
duit dengan
However,
baik
they
ya
instead
kamu.
find bumbling security officer Posh Brown, who explains that he was instructed by Howard to lock down the museum before he left to go somewhere else. They then instruct Brown to show them how to get to Howard's research lab, but as he does so, a zombie attacks him, biting his leg, which he lies about. Mary, trapped in an AV room with
What
another
was that
student,
acting?
Lucas
Like, he
Butler,
just
calls
covered his
Rebecca to
face
have
in
her
the-
open the fire shutters to allow another student
What
named
the
Olivia
hell
Price
is
into
happening?
the
What
room.
the hell? What the
Olivia
hell?
had not reached the room yet, however, but Mary wanted to go out of the room to go find her. Outside, Lucas is forced to kill an infected Bethany. Afterwards, Posh closes the door again and leads the group to Howard's office
They actually
while
did
Tyler
a
follows closely
Resident
behind.
Evil theatrical.
Meanwhile,
Holy.
Sophie speaks with Barrington, who pulls his gun on her.
Golly.
He reveals that he hopes the BSAA fails so the police department, paid off by Ezra, will cover up the
What's
entire
happening in
situation.
this thing?
Sophie is able to retrieve his gun, but when Barrington is attacked by a zombie, she finds that it has no bullets. Pierce arrives and kills the zombie, and Barrington escapes. However, he comes back with a pistol of his own and pulls it on Pierce. The two then fight hand to hand until they are interrupted by another zombie
Okay,
attack,
I'm gonna
which they
report
are
to
saved
my
from by
Cardiff
Tyler, who
that
proclaims that
everything is-
Dr. Howard didn't do anything before leaving, allowing Barrington to escape as well. Just then, Sophie and Pierce are joined by Mary and Lucas. Mary convinces the two to help them go look for Olivia, but she lags behind and texts Olivia to get her location. Meanwhile, Chris, Rebecca, and Posh are in the fossil museum where they find the Irish Giant, the remains of a man discovered a century ago that was recently transported to the university to be researched by Dr. Howard. They are attacked by zombies, but Posh closes the fire door and locks them out. Chris then finds a hidden safe room and the trio enter to inspect it.
Oh, wow,
Inside,
that's
they
a
find data relating
clever
to Umbrella's
way
viruses
for
and
a
research.
set, like,
Chris then asks why
projector
Rebecca was initially
thingy.
investigating
That's so
Dr.
cool.
Howard,
I like
and
that.
she reveals that he
They're
was in
creative.
fact Tyler's father. She also reveals that Tyler
Tyler
died 5
Howard?
years ago in the
What?
St. Cloud incident
Geez, Howard?
after he showed her a PDA
Huh?
containing information on former Umbrella
Oh, this monkey
researchers,
sticker is
including his
really
father.
cute.
When she found out his father was employed by the university, she took a job there to
I
investigate
don't get
him
this
further.
part at all. What are
As
you
she
working
finishes
on?
telling her
This
story,
is like a
Barrington arrives and
recap
takes Rebecca
post
hostage.
for my
He leaves
community
with her
as the
threatening her
term
life if the
has already
BSAA
ended.
lets any
Kayak apa
information
aja
leak
sih yang
about the
dikerjain
outbreak.
tahun
As
ini
they
gitu
leave,
loh.
they see Mary just
And
as a
make
trap is
a
sprung,
animation
causing
out
the
of
ceiling to
it,
drop, which
while
Chris and
also
Posh barely
watching
escape.
the lore of
Meanwhile,
Resident
Lucas
Evil.
notices that Mary is no longer
And
with the
I
group,
didn't
but
expect
Sophie
them
and
to
Pierce
have
continue
a
on.
theatrical movie. Well, yeah.
And Tyler arrives, pulls his gun
We're
on Chris,
1
and
hour
takes the
and
data
20
he
minutes
found.
in out of
Tyler
3
reveals that he was
hours.
recruited by the US government to
Unreal.
become a special agent. And demands
How
that
about
Chris
you? How are
leave
you
the
doing in your
situation to
birthday,
him.
man?
This
What's
prompts
happening?
a
What's
fight
happening?
between the two, in which Chris reveals that they know of Tyler's father's hand in the Academy's outbreak.
Okay,
Tyler
what?
refuses
I think
that his
I
father
have a
can be
lot of
responsible
things
and
to
instead
do, but
blames
I
Umbrella,
just forgot.
eventually submitting to help Chris uncover the truth
Okay, I'm
with
gonna
the
read
intention
this
of
for
clearing
now.
his father's name.
I did that.
Tyler then recalls a
Okay.
conversation he had with Mary recently where she proclaimed that Dr.
I
Howard
think
would,
they
quote,
haven't touched
reset
this
the
at all.
world. Pierce and Sophie
Okay,
arrive, accompanied by Lucas,
okay,
and
that
they are
is
brought up to
cool.
speed. Posh then finds Howard's identification
Where's my
system. Tyler
notion?
is able to use it, and shutters open, revealing the missing students in tubes, being experimented on and turned into zombies. Lucas is shocked to find that Olivia is one of the experiments. The group then fights their way to escape through a group of zombies, but Lucas is bitten trying to calm Olivia.
No,
Initially distraught when Olivia is among the zombies shot, he turns and tries to shoot himself, but is unable to before the virus takes hold. He goes to attack Sophie, but Pierce kills him, protecting her. The pair then escape with Chris. Elsewhere, Tyler finds Mary, who laments the loss of her friends before walking off as Chris, Sophie, Pierce, and Posh arrive. Posh's leg has gotten too bad to proceed, so Sophie offers to stay behind to protect him so the others can go find Rebecca. Meanwhile, Rebecca and Dr. Howard are both being held captive by Barrington. He explains that he was forced to work with Umbrella after his funding was frozen to provide income to support Tyler. He then continued to research the T-virus, experimenting on fossils to hopefully find a way to resurrect Tyler. However, since he was unable to find Tyler's body, he shifted his focus into researching biological weaponry instead. Rebecca proclaims that she saw Tyler alive and breaks free and promises to bring him back to his father. She escapes, with Barrington seeing her and giving chase. Afterwards, Ezra tries to explain his motives to Matthew, that a smarter race would no longer find a need to war with one another. Matthew disagrees, believing that with no purpose to evolve, humans would instead suffer more. Meanwhile, Rebecca finds Sophie and Posh, and she tries to heal him with herbs and a first aid spray.
Chico. Chico. Chico.
No, that was intentional. So my pa came to my room and then he showed that, there's been like this family of cat coming to our house like every morning, sometimes at night as well. So he he was a kitten. He was a kitten like a few months ago, and he kept on coming to our house for food daily. And then lately, he brought his little brother, like his little brothers. Actually, he brought two kittens, and then they just got too comfy in our house while we also have our own cats. So that was pretty funny. That was pretty cute. Did you guys saw the video? Yeah, it's so cute. Joshiraku. What's Joshiraku? No, I don't know. Was that Indian webcam? Yeah, this Indian webcam. It's the best webcam software I've known, I guess. I've tried like two others. One doesn't even work, and the other one just sucks ass, and you need to pay for better quality, and I don't like that. And then Seven told me about Idion, and wow, it's so smooth. Wow, real time, so cool. I wanna showcase this Ichigo artwork. Got it for free for going to the maid cafe last week. So good. Oh, the Jukemo something. That name was so long. Holy. Yeah. Are you enjoying your birthday? I hope you are. Yeah. I like Yaya so much. Yeah. Okay, where was I? What was I about to do?
Spray.
I don't know.
However, his virus takes hold and
Whoa,
he
whoa,
begs
whoa,
Sophie
whoa,
to kill him,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
a favor
whoa,
she is
whoa.
forced to grant.
Whoa, that's so
Afterwards,
scary.
Barrington catches up and holds the two women at gunpoint.
It
He
is
offers them one
certainly
final
nine.
chance of helping the cover-up and taking a payout, but they deny the
Are
offer.
people not okay? People.
Barrington
God,
takes
oh,
out his gun to
okay,
shoot them, but
okay.
Posh, not quite dead, lunges and bites the detective, causing him to turn into a zombie almost immediately. Sophie shoots him, finally killing him before thanking Posh and putting him out of his misery for good as well. In Ezra's office, Matthew has hung himself after his argument with his adoptive father, and Dr. Howard is preparing to kill him. However, Chris, Pierce, and Tyler arrive and stop him. Howard admits to creating a new strain of the T-virus through his experiments with the Irish giant fossil, but Ezra is able to distract Howard, grabbing the case with the virus and escaping. Tyler then confronts his father, who releases a new tyrant infected with his strain. The three fight the tyrant as Howard scurries off to observe and collect battle data. Tyler and Chris distract the giant, and Pierce is able to shoot it to defeat it, much to Howard's disappointment. He then injects himself with the virus as his last-ditch effort, forcing Tyler
wow,
to
that's
shoot
a
and
real
kill his own
syringe
father.
and not the creepy
Rebecca and
metal
Sophie reunite
syringe
with
like
the
in the
group,
game.
and Tyler finds a
Yeah,
letter
there's
written from his
syringes
father
in
apologizing for
our
his
ears
actions
so
and revealing something about Mary Gray
big,
that he is
and I
unable
don't
to
know,
finish
they're
reading
scary.
before she arrives and takes
Big
Rebecca
needles.
hostage at gunpoint. Mary
Wonder
reveals
what's
that
on
she
bitter.
isn't truly human, but the result of an experiment by her
What the
father,
hell is this?
another Umbrella researcher, and Dr.
Oh, it's
Howard,
nice,
who
yes.
injected her with the
Damn.
T-virus to hopefully cure her fatal blood disease. This treatment worked, but required a steady treatment of the virus administered by Howard. Because of this, Mary considered Howard a father figure and becomes infuriated at Tyler for killing him.
Oh my god.
She also admits that it was her that led Howard to his plan of resetting the world with his bioweapons. Chris is able to talk sense into her and take her weapon, but she still resists, engaging in hand-to-hand combat enhanced by the virus inside her. The battle moves to the rooftop, and Tyler is able to speak with Mary, who realizes her true anger lies with the fact that Lucas chose Olivia over her. She then asks the group if she can start over again, and Tyler responds that she can. She thanks them, saying she will now reset before mutating into a giant creature. The team fight the creature before Rebecca arrives with the rocket launcher, which Chris shoots at it, leaving behind nothing but the memory of Mary Gray. Afterward, Chris thanks Tyler for his help, handing him the letter his father left. Sophie then gives Pierce her number, and they leave her behind to return to BSAA.
What is that video? This is I'm watching Resident Evil lore for like 1.5 hours now.
Finding Mary's disembodied arm next to a bullet-ridden umbrella. He clutches
oh
the arm,
wow, they got a fake, they got a really good fake hand. Whoa, what is that acting? Oh my god.
For them. Just then, the briefcase starts beeping, leaving Ezra's future unknown.
Whoa.
A year later, Claire Redfield attends a party at the TerraSave headquarters where she meets her new partner, Moira Burton, former STARS officer Barry Burton's eldest daughter. Claire is then pulled aside by Neil Fisher, who informs Claire about a potential new virus in Washington.
Okay,
Suddenly,
we're getting back to the game again. Oh my god,
and
that's
it is stormed
so right.
by a group of masked assailants who capture Claire, Moira, and several other TerraSave members. When Claire awakens, she finds herself in an old prison with a mysterious bracelet on her wrist.
Wow,
she is able to reunite with Moira, and when they try to escape, the two find themselves to be surrounded by mutated humans. As they move through the prison, an unknown woman begins to quote poetry to them through the devices in their wrists. Using clever teamwork, the pair are able to escape the prison and are once again contacted by the woman, who refers to herself as the Overseer. The two then make their way to a radio tower, which Claire climbs to discover they are on an unknown island. Moira then sends out a distress call to whomever can hear it. Claire and Moira then continue searching the island, eventually finding fellow TerraSave members Gabe Chavez and Pedro Fernandez inside an abandoned saloon. The group search the town to find parts to repair a nearby helicopter for escape, before the Overseer activates a siren in the town to attract more monsters. Claire is able to shut off the siren, but Pedro is overcome by monsters, triggering massive fear. The Overseer then informs them that they have
complete, ya complete. Tadi sampai theatricalnya pun ada, and the movie and ya film-film animasi. I really want to catch up to all of them. They seem so cool. Leon ganteng, that's very true. It needs a lot of more.
Figuring the Overseer must be there, she leads the group in that direction.
Makanya dia jadi itu ya, soul-sucking hero, champ, whatever. Scientist, yeah, she's a scientist. Yo, look, she saw all of this monstrosity, and of course she wanna make one for herself.
Joins them, and they reach the tower. As they approach it, Gabriel arrives in the now working helicopter. However, the Overseer sabotages the controls, causing the helicopter to spin out of control, triggering Gabe's fear and mutation before it crashes into the ground, killing him. And in the confusion, Natalia goes missing. At the entrance of the tower, Claire finds a note directing them to the nearby factory. There, they solve several puzzles until the factory eventually explodes, dumping them in a waterway that leads to the tower. Inside the sewer system connected to the waterway, they find an old native to the island named Yevgeny Rebek, who, while refusing to help them, allows them to pass through the sewers. On the other end, they reach the tower, and inside they find an office with a list of TerraSave employees that Neil had at the party, now with several names crossed out. Moira then spots a feed of Neil on a monitor, and he is approached by an off-screen Overseer. In their conversation, Neil is revealed to have been behind the TerraSave capture, as he was personally chosen by Morgan Lansdale of the FBC to carry on his vision. He then worked with the Overseer to create a new terrorist threat to hopefully justify the reestablishment of the FBC. The Overseer chastises him for his foolishness and injects him with the virus. Claire and Moira find Neil just as he begins to mutate from the virus. He overpowers Claire, and Moira is forced to grab her gun, something she had feared using since she accidentally shot her sister Polly with one of her father's guns as a child.
Okay, it's okay. I don't
Moira overcomes her fear and shoots Neil dead, saving Claire in the process. Meanwhile, the Overseer looks over Natalia, who she has strapped into a machine with some kind of mechanism on her head. The Overseer proclaims that in 6 months, the girl will awaken as her, revealing that the machine's purpose is to transport the Overseer's consciousness into the girl's body. Claire and Moira find the Overseer's office, including all of the controls and surveillance feeds for the island, and passing through, they eventually find the Overseer herself, separated from them by an impenetrable barrier. She gives a soliloquy, mentioning how her brother died, and now she will share his fate before being resurrected as a god. She then pulls out a pistol and shoots herself in the head, triggering a self-destruct.
Enough giving out to the world. Enough giving out the time to take some. So true. I like RE mutation. Yeah, they look great. Honestly, gue nggak ngerti, kreatif banget anak-anak Capcom ini. Kayak otaknya tuh kepake banget anjir. Full 100%. Fully apa? I don't know the language, man. I'm the worst psychology student ever. Yeah. Optimalisasi, whatever. Moral skill issue, makanya yeah, okay, that makes sense though. Like here she felt like shooting is too hard. Shooting takes a lot of skill, and ammos are hard to find. Yeah, she adapt. She overcame her problem. So true, so true, so true. You just suck the shit out of them.
Natalia wakes up in a
what the hell is Natalia?
Escaping from the contraption.
Who's this? Who's this woman? Girl, baby, what? Who is that? A clone?
The dark version of Natalia offers
dark version?
After being led
evil
by
Natalia.
Her dark version through various places of the island, Natalia finds Lottie. However, Lottie is revealed to be fake, and the dark version of her reveals herself to be the Overseer's consciousness, using Lottie as a ruse to try to take over Natalia.
What?
The dark Natalia
what's happening?
disappears, and Natalia finds herself on a beach.
Why is she outside? What? Huh?
And Barry Burton emerges.
How is she not dead? Outside? Just. What? Being hallucinated? What?
Barry discovers that somehow Natalia is able to detect the mutants on the island, and the two use this ability to traverse it, finally killing the mutated Pedro Fernandez. They proceed to reach the tower, now abandoned, and inside they find a portrait of a man and woman.
I don't get it, man.
Barry immediately recognizes the man as Albert Wesker, and Natalia informs him that the woman is Alex Wesker, the sole surviving member of the project that created the Wesker children. Suddenly, Alex appears, now severely mutated, revealing that her suicide had not gone as planned. In the moments between firing the gun and the bullet piercing her brain, immense fear took over, triggering her T-Phobos virus and allowing her to survive, albeit in a mutated form. She tells Barry that she has killed Moira before summoning several creatures to kill him. He is able to shoot the ceiling and collapse it onto Wesker and the monsters, allowing his and Natalia's escape. Believing he was unable to save his own daughter, Barry vows to protect Natalia from Alex. Soon they come across the sewers and find Evgeny's corpse inside of his room. There they also find Moira's cell phone with a message recorded for Barry while she was trapped under the rubble. Barry then vows to kill Wesker for what she had done to Moira. After the pair pass through a mine, however, Alex catches up with them and tosses Barry off of a cliff. She then expresses anger that her copied consciousness has not taken hold of Natalia yet, and begins to choke her.
I don't want
However,
to
when
look at
Natalia
that.
opens her eyes,
That
Alex
looks
sees
so
something
scary.
inside of them that causes her to flee in fear.
Oh, that looks.
A visibly
Her
changed Natalia
eye.
then finds Barry.
Mau keluar,
He begins
anjir.
to lead him through places
We got a
she's
date
never
with
been
Microsoft.
herself.
Look, yeah,
Eventually,
okay,
the two
yeah.
reach
Thank you for
Alex
coming
at
by,
her underground
Falcon.
lair, and she injects
Yeah.
herself with a massive dose of the Ouroboros virus.
I also
mutating
got a
into
date
giant
with
tentacled
Sheets.
creature. The two fight,
Gue
but
udah
Barry
gak
is
suka
unable to
pakai
stop Alex
EXO
from
atau Word
capturing
lagi.
Natalia.
Gue udah kayak
However,
I
Moira
forever
appears,
stay
having
with
found Barry's
Google
badge
Suits.
outside, and shoots Alex to give Barry a chance to grab Natalia and take her out of the facility. Alex gives chase, but in the nick of time, Claire arrives in a helicopter armed with a sniper rifle. Moira and Natalia board the helicopter, and Barry stays on the ground to take on Alex.
Okay, when's
Together,
the
Claire and
Twitter
Barry
logo
weaken
is
the
gonna
mutated
change?
creature before
It's
Claire,
still
mirroring her brother's
Doge.
destruction of Albert Wesker,
Like,
shoots Alex with a rocket, destroying her once and for all. Barry survives the blast and joins the group in the helicopter as they fly back home. leaving the BSAA to clean up the island. Barry then reveals his intention of adopting Natalia and raising her as one of his own.
Not long after, Leon S. Kennedy is pulled from his vacation to sneak into the battlefield of a civil war occurring in the Eastern Slav Republic to investigate reports that BOWs are in use. However, just as soon as he arrives, he receives a call from his field support, Ingrid Hunnigan, informing him that the U.S. government has ordered an evacuation of all of their forces. Somewhat annoyed, but also determined to clear out any BOW presence, Leon ignores the order and goes searching on his own. Leon eventually finds his CIA contact, but discovers him to be severely wounded. He is able to get out the word beekeeper before a liquor BOW attacks and finishes him off. Leon runs from the liquor, but is eventually trapped with the liquor about to kill him. However, it stops on command from a man who appears and captures him as he loses consciousness. When he awakens, Leon finds himself in a basement, being interrogated by members of the rebel forces, JD, Alexander Koshichenko, known as Buddy, and Ivan Jadovich, the group's Ataman. Soon, the group is discovered by the Eastern Slav army and are forced to escape, allowing Leon to break free. Ataman then falls sick and asks Buddy to kill him before he turns, which he reluctantly complies with. He then tells JD to go to a nearby church while he heads to the surface. Meanwhile, the president of the Eastern Slav Republic, Svetlana Belikova, meets with Ada Wong, who is posing as a representative from the BSAA. Ada presents the dominant species Plaga and explains that a human infected with it will have a master-slave relationship with lesser BOWs, much like a queen bee and her workers. Elsewhere, Leon follows JD and the pair are attacked by Plaga-infected zombies. This leads Leon to come to the conclusion that the rebels are using the dominant species of the Plaga parasites, which allow them to control the lickers, without knowing its side effect of turning them into mutated hosts for the parasite. JD leads Leon to the church and asks him to stop Buddy, who is seeking revenge after the Eastern Slav army bombed a school, killing his fiancée. Leon comes across Ada, initially blaming her for the release of the Plagas, which she stole 7 years ago. She denies this, but does confirm that her current mission is to retrieve a new sample in Eastern Slav. She then leaves, warning Leon that the city will be bombed soon. Returning to the church, Leon finds it to have been attacked by Ganados, with JD the only survivor. Buddy arrives, much to JD's delight, but just as he does, JD begins to mutate, having been infected during the previous battle. Leon reluctantly shoots JD and turns to ask Buddy to give him the Plaga. Buddy refuses, seeing it as a necessary tool in the game of war, when suddenly the city is bombed, causing the ceiling of the church to collapse, allowing Buddy to run off. Meanwhile, Svetlana is informed that Ada is lying about being a part of the BSAA. When Ada arrives to speak to the president, she confronts her about her lie, prompting a hand-to-hand battle between the two. When Ada tries to escape the room, the exits are shut, and the room is revealed to double as an elevator that begins to descend below ground. Leon arrives at the capital, finding it to be attacked by several lickers, indicating Buddy's arrival and use of the Plagas. Leon finds the elevator shaft and heads down. Meanwhile, Ada awakens, finding herself strung up in captivity. She's able to use a knife hidden in her heel to cut herself loose, and she escapes to find Leon inside of a beehive-like structure containing the first cultivated samples of the dominant species Plaga. Svetlana shows up, surrounded by her army, and Ada escapes in a smokescreen, leaving Leon to deal with the soldiers. Buddy then arrives with his attack lickers, who take out the soldiers. Svetlana then taunts Buddy behind bulletproof glass before she releases her ace in the hole, 2 tyrants. She then ascends in another elevator, leaving Leon and Buddy to fight the tyrants. Now, forced to team up, the pair attempt to battle the tyrants, but are overpowered and forced to flee. They seemingly find freedom when they enter a freight elevator, but the tyrants stop it, forcing the pair to climb through the hatch in the car. The weight of the tyrants then causes the elevator to fall into the abyss as Buddy jumps up to Leon, who catches him, allowing the two to climb up a ladder to the surface. Outside, the two men are met by another tyrant, which they are forced to battle. Buddy commandeers a nearby tank and drives it into the tyrant, and Leon mans its cannon. Unable to get a steady shot, Buddy controls a licker to distract the monster, allowing Leon to shoot its face, decapitating and destroying it. Their victory is short-lived, however, as the two tyrants from the basement arrive. Leon helps Buddy escape, knowing he's the only one that can reveal Svetlana's cultivation of the Plagas. Having run out of ammunition, Leon then prepares to take on the tyrants hand-to-hand before they are swiftly lit up by the U.S. Air Force fighters arriving to protect Leon. Afterwards, Svetlana gives a press conference blaming the rebels for the events in the city, but she is quickly informed that they are being attacked by both the United States and Russian military forces, intervening in the Civil War and occupying the region, leading to Svetlana's resignation. Elsewhere, Buddy and Leon watch the U.S.-Russian forces march on the capital, and they both feel used by the political machine. Knowing the Plaga will overtake him, Buddy asks Leon to kill him before turning the gun on himself. Leon stops him, telling him that he owes it to those that died to live on, even if it means losing the use of his limbs. He then shoots Buddy in the spinal cord, killing the Plaga attached to it, allowing him to live. Afterwards, Leon speaks with Hunnigan, who insists that the U.S. knew nothing about the Plaga situation, while Leon remains with doubts. Ada then calls her employer, not sure whether to hand over the Plaga, even after her potential buyer offers to wipe out an international warrant for her arrest. After the dust settles in the city, Buddy returns to his former life as a school teacher, confined to a wheelchair, but finally content.
The next year, Chris and Piers are informed by BSAA Far East agent Mara Biji that their mutual friend and BSAA advisor, Professor Doug Wright, has gone missing. The two learn that he had gone with his nephew to the Marhawa school in Asia, and the BSAA visit it. There they find the school to already have fallen victim to an outbreak, but they find one survivor, Professor Wright's nephew, Riki Tozawa. They go to save the professor, but find that he's already turned into a zombie. Mara believes the perpetrator of the outbreak to be student Bindi Bergana. Bindi, who was given a strain of a new virus by a mysterious woman, called the chrysalid or sea virus, had been infected with it and mutated since the beginning of the attack. Mara disobeys a direct order from Chris and goes off to fight and ultimately defeat the student. However, she mutates once again and catches up to the group attempting to leave by helicopter. They fight once more and Piers kills her. The cleaners arrive and wipe out what remains of the virus in the area, but the mysterious woman and her motives stay hidden from the BSAA, at least for now.
Meanwhile, after the C-Virus outbreak, Umbrella Corps, a subsidiary of the now restructured Umbrella Corporation, recreated as an anti-BOW military force and known colloquially as Blue Umbrella to differentiate itself from its pharmaceutical beginnings, begins combat testing for one of their agents, codenamed 3A7, led by employee Abraham Jackson. Eventually, Jackson goes missing, and the trials are instead led by Beatrice Bertrand, who, despite constantly setting him up for failure, is continuously impressed by 3A7's performance. Because he survives these trials, Bertrand is fired and 3A7 is replaced, leaving Umbrella and becoming feared by its remaining researchers.
1 month later, Chris and Piers are again on a mission with the BSAA, leading Alpha Team in Edonia, an Eastern European state that has erupted in civil war, using the C-Virus infected, called Juavo, as weapons. Elsewhere in Edonia, mercenary Jake Muller is working for the rebels. He injects himself with a supplement that's supposed to increase his performance but doesn't seem to be doing anything for him. Sherry Birkin, now a U.S. agent, arrives and informs Jake that the supplement is actually the C-Virus, developed and distributed by a new terrorist group.
Is there an RE manga? Yeah, makanya gue juga baru tahu kayak, wow, is there manga for Resident Evil? I think there is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to read it.
From the village, Neo Umbrella sends a tyrant-like hunter called the Ustanak to chase the two.
What now?
Sherry and Jake eventually meet up with Chris, who recognizes Sherry
Where
and
do they
introduces himself
find
as
these
Claire's
things,
brother.
man?
Soon after, Neo Umbrella releases a giant BOW, which Alpha Team helps defeat. Afterwards, Chris provides a BSAA helicopter to take Sherry and Jake to safety. Their escape is short-lived, however, as their helicopter is attacked by the Ustanak, still pursuing Jake. The monster eventually causes the helicopter to crash, and Sherry and Jake eject and fall to the snowy mountainside beneath them. Meanwhile, Chris, Piers, and the BSAA find a woman who introduces herself as Ada Wong, telling them that she was being held hostage by Neo Umbrella and fills Chris in about the C-Virus. Chris assigns a soldier, Finn, to escort Ada, and they lead her to safety. This turns out to be a trap, however, and Ada throws a C-Virus-infused bomb at Alpha Team, infecting all of them, turning them into mutated cocoons, save for Chris and Piers. The cocoons hatch, and one of the monsters inside attacks Chris, causing him to hit his head, concussing him and making him lose conscious as Piers drags him to safety. At a nearby hospital, Chris awakens with no memory of who he is or what
I'm
has
so
happened,
easily
and he secretly
distracted.
leaves the hospital.
Wait, that's so bad.
On the snowy mountain, Jake awakens to find Sherry impaled by a piece of the helicopter. She tells him to pull it out, and when he does, he notices her wound heals miraculously quickly due to the G-virus still in her blood.
Yeah, sure.
The two find a cottage to take refuge, and Sherry confides in Jake by telling her about her father's actions in Raccoon City, as well as her rescue thanks to Leon and Claire that drove her to follow in their footsteps. The two bond over their respective burdens before they're interrupted by a group of Neo Umbrella that attack the cottage. They're able to escape the assault, but are soon met with the Ustanok once again. They duck the creature temporarily, but when they reach the Adonian border, they are met with more opposition, and their giant stalker appears again and knocks out Sherry. The mysterious woman who gave Jake's squad the C-virus, the supposed Ada Wong, appears and tells Jake about Albert Wesker's failure to destroy the world, before revealing that Wesker was in truth Jake's father, passing on his enhanced and invulnerable blood. The Ustanok then knocks out Jake, and he and Sherry are captured and taken away.
6 months later, Ada Wong receives a call from the U.S. National Security Advisor Derek C. Simmons, who claims to have intel on her that would be very crucial to her future. Following his instructions, she finds a submarine and is able to get on board using a security system that, curiously, already has her fingerprints on file. Inside, she finds a film from Simmons instructing her to capture Jake so as not to allow a C-virus vaccine to be produced from his blood. Ada's surprised to find that the orders were from 6 months ago, and she never received them, leading her to wonder if someone else carried them out in her stead. An explosion occurs on the ship, and Ada is forced to abandon the submarine. During this escape, she receives another transmission from Simmons, who tells her that tomorrow the U.S. will suffer a bioterrorist attack, then China, then the rest of the world. And the attacks will be at the hands of Neo Umbrella's leader, Ada Wong.
What now?
Confused by her findings, Ada refuses to be Simmons' scapegoat and enters a torpedo, escaping the submarine.
Now?
The next day, Simmons' warning comes true, and the city of Tall Oaks is attacked while the President of the United States, Adam Benford, was at a local Ivy University giving a speech in which he planned to finally reveal the true nature of the Raccoon City incident to the public. However, the President is infected, and Leon S. Kennedy and Secret Service agent Helena Harper are forced to shoot him, putting the President out of his misery.
Goodbye, President.
Afterwards, they receive a call from Hunnigan, who they update with the situation before being ordered to leave. They decide to check out the cathedral first instead, as Helena reveals that she is somehow responsible for the outbreak, but will only reveal the truth if Leon helps her reach the cathedral. The pair find some survivors. They escape the town in a bus and head toward the cathedral. On the way, Hunnigan calls once again to inform them that Neo Umbrella has taken credit for the attack. She then asks what's at the cathedral, as Simmons is starting to breathe down her neck for information. Just then, the bus is forced to swerve to avoid a zombie in the road, and Leon and Helena are forced to continue on foot to the cathedral. Meanwhile, Ada watches from nearby and follows the two. There, they find the entrance to an underground laboratory with various human experiments in a cocoon-like form. Leon also finds a tape labeled "Happy Birthday, Ada Wong," which seemingly shows Ada being birthed from one of the cocoons at some unknown period in time. The two make their way through the lab and find Helena's secret, her sister, Deborah. She asks Leon to help her get her sister out to safety before she reveals the truth.
Do you have ADHD? No, honestly, okay. Kan gue baru kelas SBK ya, baru kelas psikologi kebutuhan khusus kan. Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Ew, that's ew. What the hell? That's so scary. Okay, so yeah, kan itu ngebahas ADHD and ADD. If I were to diagnose myself, it's ADD because I don't have the hyperactivity. I just can't focus. That's all. But yeah, I really want to check myself up. I need it. This is a pretty sensual moment. It is. It is. Somehow things are gross and sensual in Resident Evil for some reason. No reason at all. Helena's sister pretty.
And she watches it herself, recognizing this as the creation of some kind of doppelganger of herself. Afterwards, she's called by Simmons once again, who she realizes has actually been the fake Ada the whole time, disguising her voice to impersonate him. The real Ada realizes that Simmons and the secret society he belongs to, known as the Family, would never risk exposing themselves and the potential destabilization of global politics, so she surmises that this fake Ada must be running Neo Umbrella with the sole purpose of destroying it. The fake Ada confirms this, noting that when she does so, the world will place the blame on Ada Wong. The real Ada then calls the real Simmons, informing him that her doppelganger is in fact working against him. She then heads off to find the woman as she blows up the lab behind her.
Whoa.
Leon and Helena make their way out of the catacombs, now both agreeing to work together to bring Simmons to justice. Outside, they witness Tall Oaks being destroyed by a missile strike, eliminating all evidence in an act all too similar to Raccoon City's fate years prior. They receive a call from Hunnigan, who informs them that Simmons is on his private jet en route to China, where another C-virus attack is underway.
Why are these masalahnya berbelit-belit banget?
Hunnigan helps them fake their own deaths,
C-virus,
and the pair
G-virus,
decide to go to
T-virus.
China to follow Simmons.
I don't get
Back in
it.
Europe,
I'm just
Chris,
putting
still without his memories, has become an angry drunk. For he's not exactly welcome. Pierce finds him after months of searching and confronts him, but Chris has no recollection of his partner. As Pierce gives him a pep talk, the bar patrons reveal themselves to be fellow BSAA, and they take Chris back. Realizing this is the only way he can get his life and memory back, Chris takes his place back in the BSAA and joins Pierce to lead Alpha Team into China.
Elsewhere, Claire Redfield drives to go visit Barry Burton and receives a call that her brother, Chris, is on his way to China to deal with a new bioterrorist attack, and she tells the person on the other end of the line to have Piers look after him. At the Burton household, Barry witnesses some news of the C-virus attacks on the television. Upstairs, Natalia, now fully overcome by Alex Wesker's consciousness, begins to recite poetry, ending her passage with a crooked smile.
In China, Chris, Pierce, and Alpha Team execute a rescue mission and successfully escort a group of hostages from a BOW.
And I have mastered the thingy of alt tabbing and then muting the kind of sus for Capcom. Yeah.
Jake is able to escape from the and shut down power to the facility, allowing Sherry's escape as well. The two reunite and get in contact with the US government and learn that Sherry's superiors are in China as well. The two then find a motorcycle and use it to escape the facility to rendezvous. Chris and Pierce come across Jake and Sherry and help them take down a pursuing helicopter before heading off to search for Ada at a nearby research facility. Jake and Sherry also head out and soon witness the crash landing of an American airplane. They rush it to find the plane's only two survivors, Leon and Helena. Sherry and Leon reunite and he reveals that Simmons is behind the attacks. Sherry, who reveals that Simmons is their direct superior, is surprised by this information. But before the conversation can go any further, the Ustanak attacks and the four are forced to battle it. They're able to drop a tower on the Ustanak to incapacitate it, but the tower separates the two groups. Sherry reveals Simmons' location to Leon and they agree to meet there. Leon and Helena reach the facility and witness the Ada Wong decoy walking inside. They follow her inside and to their surprise find Chris and Pierce. Leon stops Chris from shooting her, arguing that Simmons is the true mastermind behind it all. This delay gives Ada the chance to drop a smoke grenade and escape with a briefcase. Chris leaves to capture Ada, while Leon and Helena head off to find Simmons. Meanwhile, on their way to meet with Leon and Helena at Simmons' location, Jake and Sherry are cornered by a Juava wielding a chainsaw before they are saved by the nearby real Ada Wong, who is still searching for her imposter as well. Sherry, Jake, Leon, and Helena finally regroup at Simmons' location, and he admits his hand in the outbreaks, but justifies that it's for the good of the country and the world. Sherry hands Leon a data chip with research data from the lab they were at, which could potentially stop the C-virus. Leon and Helena then provide cover for Jake and Sherry to run to safety. As they leave, however, they are ambushed by a Juavo and captured once again. Meanwhile, Leon and Helena continue their standoff with Simmons. As he turns to leave, he is ambushed by a Juavo as well, who shoots him with a vial, injecting him with the virus which he believes is the work of the Ada doppelganger. Simmons runs off and falls onto a nearby moving train, which Helena and Leon are able to jump onto at the last second. On top of the train, Simmons receives a call from his former partner, the Ada imposter, who admits that she turned him into a monster just as he did to her, before threatening that soon the whole world would suffer the same fate. Helena and Leon catch up to Simmons, who reveals that his killing of the president was to prevent the world from learning the truth about Raccoon City, which he believes would have caused the political order to collapse. He then mutates from the virus, forcing Leon and his partner to fight, and ultimately defeat him before the train derails and they are forced to jump into a nearby ocean. Elsewhere, Chris and Pierce have chased the fake Ada
satu
to an
game ini
aircraft
ngabisin
carrier
uang negara
that has been
berapa ya
taken
anjir?
over by Neo Umbrella.
Gila.
They finally corner her on the
Banyak
bridge of the
banget.
ship, where she reveals she has created a missile containing a massive amount of the C virus.
C
threatening an event
virus,
like Raccoon
yes,
City,
of
but on a
course.
global scale.
Yes, global
Just
scale,
after
of
this revelation,
course.
however, a helicopter flies up containing a sniper working for the Family Secret Society, who shoots the fake Ada, and she falls to her apparent death.
I hope she
Opens the
actually
briefcase she took
dies.
from the facility and finds an enhanced strain of the virus. He and Chris then head to try to disarm the missile. Meanwhile, the real Ada Wong infiltrates the ship and finds evidence revealing the creation of her doppelganger. As it turns out, Simmons' hatred of Ada due to her insubordination led him to want to create his own replica of her that would follow his orders. He
Man,
then created a strain
this is
of the C
a
virus
robot
fused with
noodles.
Ada's DNA and
Yeah.
injected it into a scientist named Carla Radames.
What? Who?
However, this plan ultimately failed when
Okay.
Carla's consciousness slowly began to reawaken in her new physical form.
Okay.
Ada finds Carla's dead body on the deck of the ship, and Ada laments the poor woman's plight.
Oh.
However,
Oh, whoa, whoa,
suddenly
whoa, 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 whoa.
reawakened,
See, she's not actually dead.
and
See.
attacked Ada. After a
That's
battle
what I'm
spanning
talking.
the
What
entire
the
ship,
hell
Ada
is
is able to finally
that?
kill
What
Carla
the
before she
hell?
finds a helicopter to escape and investigate a tower she found evidence of in Simmons' files. On the ship, Chris and Pierce try to stop the missile's launch, but ultimately fail
Oh,
as it
no.
heads towards the city.
Oh
Leon
no.
calls Chris, who frantically tells the former to
Dude,
leave
panic,
immediately
panic,
as the missile
panic,
explodes over
panic.
China, immediately
Whoa.
enveloping the city with the C virus gas and infecting almost all of its
Exploding
inhabitants
in
practically
China.
immediately.
C
Leon then
virus.
sends Chris to Neo Umbrella's underwater research facility to recover Sherry and Jake, who he reveals is Wesker's son.
Who?
Chris then tells Leon that Ada is dead, which visibly upsets Leon. who
Oh,
is
my
still
wife
unaware
is
of the
dead.
doppelganger situation.
Oh no.
Leon and Helena fight through the infected city, aided by Ada in the helicopter, much to Leon's confusion.
Oh, my wife is not
Eventually, they
dead.
reach the quad tower, where they find an also still alive Simmons. Ada arrives in the helicopter, and Simmons believes her to be Carla, ordering her to use Jake's blood to make the virus stronger before he mutates once again
Oh
into
my
a T-Rex.
What the hell is a T?
The three of them defeat
How
Ada
is
one more
that?
time before Ada heads up to the roof where Leon and Helena follow. On their way up, Ada is incapacitated by Simmons, and Leon rushes to protect
Yes,
her
I
from
know,
the
right?
infection
The
center.
C virus
and
in
Simmons
China. Oh, this
eventually
is
knocks
actually a
Leon off
partner
the ledge,
moment.
but Ada
My wife
returns
is
the
in my
favor and saves him
hands.
before dropping Simmons below as she swings
Yeah.
away. Shortly after, Leon spots Ada, who calls him and tells him about a gift she left him on the roof before parting ways with him one last
Bye
time.
bye, husband.
Helena
Wife,
tells
no.
Leon to go after her, but he
Oh my
refuses,
God.
opting to stick with Helena instead. On the roof, Simmons absorbs the bodies of various infected around him and uses them to enhance his power.
What the
Now
hell?
running from a giant mutated BOW, Leon and
What
Helena reach the
is
helicopter with the present
Why is
Ada left
everything
behind,
staggering? Whoa, whoa,
yet
whoa, whoa, whoa,
another
whoa.
rocket launcher to defeat Leon's foe. He uses it once more, and Simmons is finally killed, falling to his death, being impaled by a structure
Oh my
in the
God, that
center of
looks
the
so.
tower,
Oh,
filling the umbrella logo beneath
oh,
with his own
oh
blood, one
wow.
final
The
omen
symbolism.
of Neo Umbrella.
Whoa.
Also in the helicopter, the two find a makeup case with a data disk inside containing all the evidence incriminating Simmons in the C-virus attacks, which would furthermore prove their innocence. They then escape the city in the helicopter left by Ada.
Thank you, Ada.
Afterwards, Ada is able to enter the laboratory in the quad tower where she finds all of Carla's research, including her greatest work, an unhatched cocoon inside a glass chamber.
Oh God.
Now, knowing that Carla was no
Oh
innocent,
God, what is
Ada
this?
no longer feels any sympathy for her and sets her lab, including the cocoon,
Amazing.
ablaze, destroying
Amazing.
everything.
This
She
is
then
FNAF
receives a phone call
4.
offering her her next
Or
job.
I don't
She
know the
smiles
numbers,
and
man, but
accepts.
you know we're
Meanwhile,
where
Chris and Pierce make their
Henry
way to Neo
and
Umbrella's underground
Michael
research
set
facility.
everything on fire.
And
Yeah.
once they arrive, Chris reveals his
Special place
intentions
for
of
you
retiring
is
from
waiting
the
in
BSAA
hell.
after this mission, passing the torch on to Pierce. The pair find the controls to release Jake and Sherry, and the four eventually reunite.
Cool.
During their ensuing conversation, Jake sarcastically thanks Chris, a trait the latter proclaims reminds him of his father, Albert Wesker. He then reveals to Jake that he was the one that killed Wesker. Angered at this revelation, Jake pulls a gun on Chris, who tells Jake that he can shoot him if he wishes.
Oh, ganteng banget anjir. Yeah, can shoot me. I killed your dad. That's fair. Oh my.
Jake ultimately decides not to shoot his father's killer, instead realizing the gravity of the situation.
Okay, he's actually sane, unlike his father. So good.
Held inside House, a gigantic BOW designed to destroy the entire planet.
Entire planet? What are they cooking? Why are they cooking all this?
Jake and Sherry run off while Pierce and Chris lead the creature to a chamber to fight it. The two fail in the battle, however, with Pierce mortally wounded and Chris captured by it. In order to save his commanding officer, Pierce injects himself with the enhanced C-virus strain he took from Carla, and using the enhanced strength given to him by it, defeats the monster and saves Chris. The pair then attempt to escape the facility, with Chris promising to get Pierce to safety where they can find the cure. Meanwhile, as Jake and Sherry attempt their escape, they are once again attacked by the Ustanak. Jake is able to punch the creature into a pit of magma, and the pair find a hyperspeed tram that they use to leave.
Trying to stream from
However,
my
in a fiery
apartment,
eruption behind them, the Ustanak pursues them once again.
Okay.
However, with its weak spot now exposed, Jake and Sherry help each other aim a gun to shoot
Oh,
it and
that's pretty
finally kill
cool.
it, allowing the two to
Friendship.
escape safely.
Oh, are they not friends?
As Chris
Are they
opens the
more
door to an
than
escape
friends?
pod, Pierce pushes him in and closes the door.
Oh,
Knowing that it's too late for him, Pierce launches Chris's pod with only him inside, opting to die with the destruction of the facility. As Chris's pod shoots towards the surface, the Chaos arrives once again, but in his final moment, Pierce shoots a giant blast of electricity.
Pierce,
killing the monster.
no! He made
On
the ultimate
surface, a
sacrifice.
helicopter arrives to extract Chris, who now carries a revived sense of purpose and returns to command in the BSAA.
Wow,
Afterwards,
the whole
Sherry flies back
sea
to the U.S.,
filled with
having
blood.
given Jake's blood
Goddamn,
sample to
that's
the
one
United Nations
dirty ass
top researchers. Jake's relationship to Wesker is kept highly classified, and his blood is used to create a vaccine for the C-virus, which helps to contain the outbreak. Sherry receives a message from Jake, who jokingly lowers his asking price to $50 before driving off on a motorcycle. Later, Helena visits her sister's grave, and Leon and Hunnigan arrive to speak with her. Helena turns herself in for her hand in helping Simmons, but Hunnigan reveals that given the evidence and the extortion, Helena cannot be held responsible. Her actions are kept classified, and her freedom is granted.
Yay!
Helena then tosses Ada's makeup case to Leon, so he can return it to her the next time the two meet. Sometime later, Jake is in a small village in an unspecified location,
Another
seemingly
village?
back to his mercenary ways. He then proceeds to protect a young boy, asking for only an apple in return.
Makan
The
guys,
next year,
lapar.
TerraSafe sends Claire Redfield to investigate
Oof,
the
manga
island of
Helena
Somito de
looks
Tortuga,
so.
the filming location of the Idol Survival Japanese
now?
reality show, which was attacked by
Oh,
infection.
what now?
Through her investigation, Claire discovers that the former US
The
military
transition
base on
from
the island was
Idol
purchased by
Survival
Oswald
Beach
and
episode
Spencer
to
nearly 20
fucking
years ago.
zombie.
Claire and her
Oh,
team find
God.
the survivors of the Idol Survival show, and they take them to a safe location on the island, an abandoned facility. There, Claire discovers that the island was the location of Alex Wesker's initial research into
What the
immortality
hell?
for Spencer. Claire finds Dirk Miller, the creator of
That
the
looks
BOWs
so
on
creepy.
the island, as well as an associate of
He
Alex's.
looks so creepy.
And Claire goes to apprehend him.
Whoa.
However, one of the survivors from the Idol show, Zeely, reveals herself to be a double agent
Whoa,
from one of Umbrella's
that's pretty
competitors,
hot.
Shenya Pharmaceutical.
Oh,
She obtains a
shit.
final strain of a virus created by Miller before knocking Claire unconscious.
Oh,
A
no,
few
that's
hours
so
later,
brutal.
Claire awakens as Zeely infects herself with the virus.
Oh, shit.
Claire is able to destroy the mutation with a rocket launcher
Whoa.
and escape the island with BSAA extraction, reporting her findings to her brother Chris.
In October of that
Chris,
year,
the
Mia
island
Winters,
was so
researcher
crazy.
for an
There were just
international
idols,
crime
and then
syndicate called
they
The
attacked
Connection,
me.
was on the cargo ship Annabelle, transporting a mutated human weapon known as E001, the first of the E-type bioweapon project.
What is this?
However, a hurricane hits the ship,
That felt
and the
like
weapon,
a
known as Evelyn,
OnlyFans
who was artificially
cam,
aged
you know?
to resemble a 10-year-old child to help with infiltration,
What now?
begins to lose stability.
Of course, it's
Evelyn
10
begins
year
to
old.
infect the crew of the ship, transforming them into hosts
The
for Evelyn's
fuck?
fungal mold, which allows her to
Mold?
control others' minds. Evelyn
Ew.
begins to refer to Mia as her mom, and Mia tries to calm the girl before she is herself infected with the
Oh
mold.
god, that's
She then rushes
so
to send an
scary.
emergency message to her husband back home, Ethan,
Oh.
telling telling him to forget her and live his life before the hurricane and the destruction of the ship causes her to be thrown into the surrounding waters.
As the hurricane settles, Jack Baker rescues Mia and Evelyn, bringing them to his house in Dulvey, Louisiana.
What?
His family, consisting of wife Marguerite, son Lucas, and daughter Zoe, begin to take care of the
another
rescues
whole
until
family.
Evelyn
What the
awakens
fuck?
and tells Zoe they're mine now, before the power goes out in the house.
That
Zoe then
looks so
finds
scary.
her family going insane
Heisenberg?
under Evelyn's influence. She avoids them, leaving outside to a
Why did
trailer
he
in the
stab
backyard
himself?
where she finds Mia passed out with a note nearby warning them about
Oh,
Evelyn and
she
her
died in the
power,
glue trap.
but stating that there's a cure in the form of a serum. When she turns around, she is greeted by
Oh my
Evelyn,
God, yes,
who refers to her
I
as sister. The
know.
next day, Zoe awakens at the dining table. Her
I
hopes are short-lived, however, as Evelyn appears
am
once
the
again,
die.
greeting her new sister once more. Zoe then begins to spend her days avoiding her infected family while searching for the cure Mia mentioned in her note.
Resident Evil. What's Resident
At
Evil?
some
Biohazard.
unspecified time in an
Biohazard.
unknown location in Japan, two
Story,
nurses,
lore. What is
Emihara
lore?
and
I don't know.
enter a mansion to escape an
Yeah.
outbreak. Inside, they
Yeah.
find several uninfected men and women unconscious. Suddenly, they all awaken simultaneously,
I am
causing
watching
two to
the
rush
whole
away to
story
hide.
of
The
Biohazard
survivors who awaken
from
quickly
the
discover
first
that they have
game
no recollection
till
of how they got
the
there,
last
nor do
game.
they recognize each other.
Yeah.
When they open the door
Yeah.
and try to escape, the nurses rush out to
Yeah.
incapacitate a zombie that enters the mansion. The nurses then inform the survivors about the outbreak.
Yeah.
The nurses then claim that they were sent by men who kidnapped them to check on the unconscious survivors, but are met with much skepticism.
I don't
by the group.
understand
They
anything
soon
in
agree
this
that they must
game,
work
but
together to
like
get out, however, and they
it's
begin to
cool,
search
I
for an
guess.
escape.
何もわかんないけ
Emihara
ど
then remembers something the leader of the
この
kidnappers
ゲー
said
ムかっ
about
こい
only the
い
chosen ones surviving
Yeah.
and making it to the next round, triggering a
Kinda
panic among the
disgusting,
group
but
who now
yeah.
believe they
Okay,
are
well-
part of some game or experiment. One of the members of the group, an army ranger named Gino, confirms their
Very,
suspicion
very
and reveals he had
Indonesian,
heard
okay.
of selection
Very
tests like the
Indonesian
one
of
they
you,
are
Miyasan.
seemingly in. He then takes charge,
Indonesia,
and the group finally
Girashi.
introduces Gino chooses to split the group into teams
The
led by
usage
him,
of
a doctor named
Waika.
Karasawa,
So
and a journalist
good.
named Zama. Gino's team includes Terayama, an unemployed traveler, Doi, a soccer
Who's
coach,
Terayama?
and Okunuchi,
Who?
a human rights lawyer. Zama's team includes Bandao, a housewife,
What is
Suzuki, a tutor, and Ando, a
Wakarimasu.
bank teller.
ごめん。
Karasawa's team then includes Ihara,
私の
Abe,
日
and a
本語
quality inspector
め
named
ちゃくち
Ihara.
ゃ
They then
わ
split up and search for anything to help them learn more
What is
about their
this?
situation as well as escape.
What is
Later, the
happening?
groups reconvene in the main hall with their discoveries. Some
Who are
food,
these people?
water, medicine, and a box of weapons.
Okay.
The group then argue
Whoa.
over whether or not they should use the weapons.
Whoa.
Of them, only Gino and Bandao
Who?
have been trained in firearms
Who
use.
are these
During their
people?
argument, Doi notices an injection mark on his arm, prompting the others to check and notice they have been injected as well.
Oh shit.
Suddenly, Suzuki remembers that he saw another man before the rest of them woke up who left through the front door, then never came back.
Who
Just
is
then,
that?
there's a knock at the door, and they open it.
Whoa.
The man Suzuki saw rushes in with
Oh,
a chainsaw, and he
Chainsaw
reveals that he
Man.
also was
Chainsaw
knocked
Man.
out with no
Chainsaw
memory
Man.
of how he got there, but he woke up first and left before being met with the zombie
Oh, never
opposition
mind.
outside. The group begins to treat his wounds, and
Wait,
he
he does
introduces
look like
himself
Denji.
as Hashimoto, an economics
Denji
professor
mitai
at
na,
the nearby
Chainsaw
university,
Man.
and joins Karasawa's team. Now knowing what they face, Gino agrees to allow everyone to take a weapon,
Okay.
but urges caution to not hurt
Is this
each
Dangan
other.
Rompa?
The team splits
This
up
is
again,
this looks
agreeing
like
to meet
Dangan
after
Rompa
half an
for real,
hour
for
with
real.
any new discoveries. Gino leaves his team behind to scout ahead, and Doi begins to express his interests in the zombies, believing that immortality and the advancement of the human species could potentially be achieved with the research from the
No,
zombies. He
don't.
believes that the building they are in is a zombie research
No.
facility and expresses
No,
his excitement
don't.
in the possibility.
It's not the answer to
He also
human
reveals
life.
that he
No.
lied about being
Stop.
a soccer coach, believing everyone else had lied about their occupation.
What is this? I know, right? What is this?
The group with him. Banda
What is
and Zama also split from their
happening?
group momentarily, and Zama expresses his doubts that Bandao is who she says she is, believing her to be with the FBI, which she quickly dismisses. The rest of their group catches up, and they
totally
continue
not
on.
get both
Elsewhere,
theatrical.
Ebihara notices she got a message on her phone.
So before this,
Confused,
there was
they read the
another
message,
theatrical
finding that it is from
event,
Umbrella and
right?
explains the
And
various
I didn't
herbs
get
they
that.
found. Abe becomes
And
suspicious
now this
that
is
only
starting to look
Ebihara
like
received a message,
Dangan
and that
Rompa
is
or
from Umbrella,
Conan,
but they quickly drop
and
it
someone
move
is
on the other side of the mansion, Zama comes to the
bad
conclusion that they
guy
must be
or
subjects in a
something.
test to gather data on the zombies, which will be used as BOWs. Like the other groups, they then continue on.
Okay.
As Karasawa's group traverses, he notices Ebihara drinking some of the medicine they found. He confronts her,
drink?
and she reveals
What did you
that she
take?
was bitten by a
Why did you take that?
and is extremely fearful of becoming like them.
Oh, okay.
Later, Hashimoto begins to show symptoms of the virus taking hold. Ebihara offers up the herb to treat him, and Abe confronts her again to tell her why she knows so much about the herb. Karasawa speaks up and reveals that Ebihara was and that's why she knows of the herb's healing nature. Just then, Hashimoto turns into a zombie and grabs his chainsaw.
Oh shit, he became a chainsaw man!
Ebihara pulls his weapon, but stumbles,
Chainsaw man
allowing
になったぞ!
Hashimoto to overpower him and take him down with the chainsaw. Karasawa then shoots the zombie, putting him down.
Oh, okay, he
The
died.
group leaves, and Karasawa awakens
Oh,
once
wait,
more,
never mind.
dropping his
He
chainsaw.
lives.
Ehara also awakens and leaves the room. Meanwhile, Ando and Suzuki decide to leave the mansion on their own. However, when they go outside, they are met by Hashimoto wielding his chainsaw.
Oh shit, it's becoming dark. Oh shit, oh no, everyone became zombie.
Regroup in the main hall and fill each other in on the
み
team
んなが
members
ゾ
they
ンビになっ
lost. They begin to
た。
discuss the virus responsible for the zombies.
やべえ。
and
There was
propose
an
that the
Umamusu.
facility they're
What
in
now?
is to test to see if the survivors can create antibodies that
What?
are immune to the virus.
Oh wait,
Okamichi
so they
begins
do
to
they
show
use
signs of infection,
the
and the group
horse
argue over what to do with him.
costume
Gino and Karasawa
and
then take him
huh?
aside and
Okay, I
put
need
him
to
out of
see
his
that
misery.
later.
The groups then move on, but Doi stays behind, wanting to become a
Oh,
zombie.
this man is
Okamichi,
a
now turned
psycho.
into a zombie, then arrives and bites Doi, infecting him immediately.
Yes, bite me.
Outside, Gino, Karasawa, and Zama clear out a group
Oh
of
wow.
zombies and
Oh,
find
these
Ehara,
are great
who they finally
actings.
kill. Elsewhere, Ebihara continues to take the medication, and when Abe asks her what it is, Ebi taunts her, telling her that eventually Abe will turn into a zombie.
Oh,
Hashimoto
she's also
then
bad.
attacks Gino, but he is
Walking Dead
rescued by
Japan
an
for
arriving
yeah,
Bando
I
who
guess
shoots
this
the zombie
is
down.
Walking Dead
Karasawa
Japan
and Gino
version.
find a key hanging from the ceiling and take Bandao to shoot it down. Zama stops them, revealing that he is infected as well.
Oh
The
no.
three take Ebihara with them, leaving Zama behind with an also infected Terayama.
Everyone's
the two then take their
infected.
guns
Oh,
and
oh
shoot each
wow,
other
that's a
before they
pretty
can
cool
turn.
scene.
Bandao shoots
Wow,
down
they're
the
also
key,
laughing
and
like crazy.
Karasawa retrieves it. They try it on the door in the front, but find that it
What?
also requires a password.
A key and a
Ask Ebihara
password?
to think
What
about
the fuck?
anything she might have seen as a clue, but she then reveals that she knows the password and that she's impressed by the fact that 3 survivors
What
have
now?
made it to this point in the test.
What now?
Ebihara herself is the key to the last door, but reveals that she can only open it when there is one sole, most powerful survivor to take back to her boss. She then prompts them to fight to the death.
Oh yeah, this is
Bandao
Danganronpa
refuses
for
and
real,
pulls
for
her
real.
gun on Ebihara. Gino does not allow her to shoot and stabs her in the back, killing her before turning his sights on Karasawa. Ebihara commands Gino to drop his weapons and fight Karasawa hand to hand, and he agrees. He then reveals to Karasawa that he
Whoa,
knew
the
about the plan from the very
expressions.
beginning, as it was a military experiment he was chosen to participate in. The two proceed to fight as Ebihara watches on. Surprisingly, Karasawa overpowers Gino,
Whoa,
who
how?
grabs his knife out of
What?
desperation.
How?
He goes to stab Karasawa with it, but he is able to avoid the attack,
Whoa,
making
whoa,
Gino
whoa,
stab
whoa,
himself
whoa.
with the knife before he takes it to slice Gino's throat,
Whoa.
killing him.
Wow,
Ebihara
that was
applauds
great
Karasawa
acting.
and reveals that he was injected with the T-virus from the very start, and the purpose of the experiment was not to create a vaccine, but to create a tyrant.
Whoa, oh
She then
my
opens
god.
the door, and afterwards, Karasawa strangles her to death.
Yeah, deserve.
Karasawa then closes
fucking
the
lie.
door, locking himself inside the facility.
Oh,
Bandao then
what a
stands
great
up, seemingly
protagonist.
uninjured. She reveals herself to being involved in the experiment
What the
and informs
hell? There's so
Karasawa
many
of his
plot
new
twists.
abilities as a tyrant. She then reveals that she works for a private company that creates the tyrants and provides them to militaries across the world, with Karasawa just being the latest of the crop. He then picks up a
There's
nearby
too
gun
many
and shoots her
plot
to put
twists
an
in
end to this
here.
production. He then puts the gun up to his own head,
Okay.
but is stopped by a mysterious man who enters through the locked door.
Oh,
He offers
got it.
Karasawa to come with him to rule over the lesser humans, but he refuses to become a
Yeah.
mindless weapon. He then puts the gun back to his own head and pulls the trigger.
yeah, no
Sometime
thank
later,
you. I
Chris
don't
Redfield
want
is
to be
sent
in
with the
a
Mexican army to
weapon for
track down and
you.
arrest a bioweapon arms dealer named Glenn Arias, as well as rescue BSA agent
Ooh.
Kathy White and her son Zach, who were
Oh.
taken hostage by Arias.
She looks like
They
Karen,
find a
but
mansion and
pretty.
split up into groups. One group finds Zach, who is infected,
Oh,
and takes out the
no.
group.
Oh no.
Chris is the only one to escape the building alive
Yeah, of
and
course,
finds Arius
it's
outside.
Chris.
Arius reveals that he has designed a new virus whose victims can distinguish between friend and foe. He then brings forth his enhanced bodyguards, Maria and Diego Gomez, who present an infected Kathy. Arius then leaves as Chris is surrounded by a swarm of zombies that an army helicopter protects him from. 4 months later, Rebecca Chambers is working at a university
I've seen this
to
one. Oh,
create a
yeah?
vaccine for a new viral outbreak that is growing around the Great Lakes. She sends her
How does
assistant
this
Aaron to
go?
retrieve a sample.
Do you still
And as
remember
he
the
leaves, she
movie?
notices one of her vaccine experiments is reporting a success. Aaron notices an open vent, but when he inspects it, Maria appears and kills him. The power in the lab goes out, and Maria releases a gas through the ventilation system.
This is a
infecting
whole
everyone in
nother
the facility.
set of
Rebecca
characters,
is able to
right?
reach the vaccine she
I
recently
don't
synthesized
recognize
and injects
anyone
herself,
except
successfully
for Chris.
preventing her infection. She takes the vaccine data on a flash drive, then goes to leave, but is attacked by Aaron, who she is forced to kill with a fire
Whoa,
extinguisher.
badass,
She takes
like.
cover in her lab, but Maria throws a grenade in the office, breaking the windows and allowing zombies to enter and attack. At the last second, however, Rebecca is saved by an arriving Chris
Let's
Redfield.
go,
Later in a
Chris.
hotel room, Chris and Rebecca discuss Arius, and Chris surmises that Maria's presence in the lab indicates that the virus will be modified to affect the vaccine's usage.
Oh, she's pretty.
Rebecca then reveals that the virus's genome resembles the plagas used by Los
What?
Illuminados, prompting her and Chris to seek out Leon. who has a
Let's
history with that
go,
particular virus.
Leon.
They find Leon in Colorado, drowning his sorrows in a
Colorado.
bottle after losing his team in Washington, D.C. in a bombing he was unable to prevent. Leon refuses to join in their fight, prompting an argument between he and
You
Chris.
have to
To
join
break up
me.
the argument, Rebecca
No,
reveals that she
let
believes
me
that
drink
Arius'
this
virus has
away.
actually infected people
I'm
all across the
tired,
United
Chris.
States, but is lying dormant until he activates it using an unknown trigger. Arius surveils the restaurant from afar and orders Maria to apprehend Rebecca. Later, when Rebecca uses the bathroom, she is surprised by Maria and captured. Inside the restaurant, Patricio, the man who Leon blames for the death of his unit, arrives and tells Leon that his wife and daughter have been taken hostage by the remaining members of Los Illuminados, who are working to help an arms dealer create a
She gonna be
bioweapon to
oh
attack the US,
shit.
and
Is this
pleads
gonna be
that
another
Leon help.
Ashley?
Leon refuses, but soon after, Arius' men arrive,
But okay,
with
she
Diego
seems strong
arming a
enough to.
Gatling gun
What
and
the
firing into
hell?
the restaurant.
Heavy from
Patricio
Team
hands his phone
Fortress
off to
2?
Leon before bleeding out.
Oh,
Chris then
oh,
sees Maria making off with Rebecca, and the crew
Oh.
leave.
oh.
Later, Rebecca wakes up, now
Oh.
wearing a wedding dress.
Oh wow, that's so
Arius
pretty.
arrives and
What
reveals that
now?
he is recreating his wedding day, which was interrupted by a drone strike by
Oh,
the
what
US,
the
which
hell?
he was the sole
Imagine.
survivor of. He has
How did he
reanimated the
survive
remains of
that?
his family and friends, which he was forced to watch die at the hands of the United States, fueling his vengeance. He reveals that the virus he has created is called the Animality, or A virus. and
They're
it
gonna
consists of
complete the
3
fucking
strains,
alphabet
one
at this
to
point,
infect,
man.
one to activate, and one to vaccinate. He then notes Rebecca's resemblance to his late wife, hoping to have
Oh,
Rebecca take
same
her place.
short
She
hair.
refuses, angering Arius and having her sent to his lab to infect her with the virus and replace her arm with his wife's, the only remains of her.
Oh god.
Meanwhile, Leon and Chris inspect data
He
from
turned
Patricio's
crazy.
phone
Oh,
and
they use a
discover that
smartphone
Arius had
now.
used the Agua brand of drinking water
Aqua?
to spread the virus in New York and plans to trigger it soon. They also learn of the vaccine strain that can
Yeah.
effectively turn off the virus in
But
infected individuals.
oh my god, imagine
triggers
getting
the
your
virus,
wedding day
sending
ruined
Agua
by a
trucks across New York,
fucking
which expel
missile.
a gas, infecting
And
the
then
city at large.
he said,
Leon,
nah,
Chris, and their army help
I
split up
hate
and
the
take out the
government.
trucks.
I need
They're
to
able
take
destroy
over
them
the
all, and
world
Maria is
with
caught up in one of
with
the blasts.
deadly
Chris
virus,
and Leon make
with
their way to
gas
Arius'
and
lab,
water,
Chris is able to
and
rescue
I
Rebecca
need
after a
to
short
get
fight
my
with
wife
Diego.
back from
Chris takes Rebecca
someone
to the
who
roof of the
looks like
building where
what
he is
the
attacked by
shit.
Arius. After a short
This is
fight, Chris is able
crazy,
to throw
man.
Arius down a shaft of the building, where he nearly dies upon impact.
Of
However,
course.
Diego comes upon him and absorbs his body,
What now?
mutating into a large creature containing both of their heads.
What
The
now?
now mutated Arius makes
Oh,
his way to
oh,
the
oh,
roof
Richard
once
showed me
more,
this scene,
Leon
and
distracts
only
him
this
so
scene,
Chris
and
can
that
search for
doesn't
the
make
vaccine.
sense.
Arius jumps to a nearby helicopter, and Leon drives a motorcycle towards him, jumping off as it
Leon
flies
is
into him,
on-
exploding on impact and weakening him.
Wow.
Chris then arrives and launches a grenade into Arius' heart, finally killing the creature. He then cures Rebecca, and the group release the vaccine above the city, curing the inhabitants and ending the outbreak. Later, Maria, having survived the
Oh,
previous
she
explosion,
looks
finds
pretty
Diego's
this way.
dead body and looks on in a silent rage.
Whoa.
In June of 2017, a television crew travels to Dulvey, Louisiana.
There's gonna
to
be a zombie
investigate the
dog and
supposedly
Leon with the.
infected house. Inside, the
Yeah,
crew are
Leon
attacked
in the
by
back.
Baker
It's
family,
so
with
whoa,
cameraman
that's
Clancy
scary.
Jarvis taken
That is
captive,
scary.
and the
Whoa,
other two
whoa,
killed.
whoa, 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 whoa! I
Clancy
don't
is
like
then
to see
told
that.
by the family. He almost escapes Marguerite's captivity by outsmarting her, but is knocked unconscious by Lucas, who begins to force him to play demented games.
This is
Including a
scary.
game of 21, where he's forced to indirectly
Whoa,
cause
whoa,
the
whoa,
death
whoa,
of a
whoa,
fellow
whoa, whoa,
captive,
whoa, whoa, whoa!
Hoffman.
What? What?
Clancy's final game
That's
came as part of a birthday
scary.
celebration where he is lit
That
on
is
fire
wow.
and burned to death.
No, that's so scary.
Shortly after, Ethan Winters arrives in Dulvey,
Oh,
having tracked
now
his
we're
wife
getting
Mia's
to
movements
village
there
with
after receiving a
Ethan.
panicked message from her, followed by her disappearance for over 3 years. He finds a house and underneath discovers Mia, still alive and seemingly well.
How?
However,
How are
this
you
doesn't
alive?
last long, and she suddenly turns violent
Of
and
course,
attacks him,
of
forcing
course.
Ethan to kill his wife. Shortly
No,
after,
that's
he
sad
receives a call
though.
from
His
Zoe
own
Baker,
wife.
who
Shit.
offers to help and tells him to escape through the attic. On his way, however, he is attacked again by a revived Mia, who cuts
Oh
off his
no,
hand
that is
before
so
walking off.
scary.
In the attic, he is
They
attacked
took
by Mia once
KDRT to
again,
another level,
who he is
man.
able to defeat once more. He is
Domestic
unable to leave,
violence
however,
to
as
another
Jack
level.
Baker
Oh,
then attacks
Heisenberg.
and captures Ethan. When he awakens, now with his hand
What the
reattached,
hell?
he is welcomed into the family by the Bakers, now
What
joined
is
by
happening?
a catatonic elderly woman.
What is this?
Ethan is able to escape from his restraints,
is
but
so
is chased
creepy.
around the house by Jack. A deputy arrives to investigate the house, but is killed by Jack shortly after. Ethan is then forced to fight one-on-one. Ethan wins with
Oh, I
Jack
think I
surprisingly
watched
delivering
Neo
the
playing
final
this.
gunshot to himself.
Oh.
Jack's death is short-lived, however, as Ethan is attacked by him very shortly after, witnessing his wounds healing and regenerating.
I don't like to see
Ethan slips away from Jack
that. I
and
don't
fights
like to
his
see
way through several creatures created from
what is
Evelyn's mold in the
that?
basement. Eventually, Ethan has a second showdown with Jack, obtaining a key he
I don't
needs
like
to
to see
escape the
this.
house.
Why is
In
there
the
a lot of
backyard, Ethan
fluid
speaks
in
to
him?
Zoe and learns that Mia is alive,
Dude didn't even try to
but
put
that
a
they would need to create a serum to cure
How?
both women of
How
their
would you
infection
put
before
that
they could leave.
off?
Ethan then heads off to find the ingredients for the
What?
serum, killing Marguerite in the process.
Fetus? What
he
is
then
that?
learns that Lucas has captured the
Why
two
does he
women
keep
and
on
is holding
calling?
them
Who's he
hostage.
calling?
Ethan is forced to play the
Ghostbusters?
same game that met Clancy with his death, but is able to
Tom
outsmart
Clancy?
Lucas and escape alive, forcing the Baker son to flee. Ethan then finds Mia and Zoe, who creates 2 doses of the serum with the ingredients Ethan provides. However, suddenly Jack appears once more,
What the
now heavily
fuck
mutated.
is that?
Ethan is forced to inject Jack with one of the
What
doses
the
of the
shit?
serum,
You
which,
cannot-
in his weakened
you
state,
cannot cure that.
allows
What?
his body to finally die.
Oh, you can cure that with a
Outside, Ethan must
serum.
decide which woman to cure with the remaining serum.
Oh, your wife?
Naturally, he chooses to cure his
Okay.
wife Mia, but promises to send help for Zoe before the two leave.
I'm
her
sorry,
behind
you
as they
helped me,
escape on a
but I
boat.
love my
They
wife.
come
I'm
across the
sorry.
tanker that Mia arrived on, and they are attacked by Evelyn. This knocks
Eee,
Ethan
what
unconscious,
is
and he has a vision
that?
of Jack proclaiming his family's innocence and asking Ethan to kill Evelyn to stop her infections. Mia then wakes up on the ship and begins to search for Ethan. She has visions of Evelyn, whom she doesn't remember, but claims is her daughter.
What?
Evelyn makes Mia watch a tape which details her final moments on the ship to restore
Oh,
her
that's so
memory.
scary. That
She
is
then finds Ethan and
scary.
hands him a vial of Evelyn's DNA. She then resists Evelyn's control and allows Ethan to escape the ship. He then finds a
Oh,
nearby secret
ceweknya
lab and learns
pinter.
the truth about Evelyn's
The wife is
origins
so
as a BOW, created to take
smart
control of
for
her
doing
victims.
that.
Lucas, however, was immunized against Evelyn in exchange for his job of collecting data for her creators, the
What
Connections.
is this game,
Using
man?
Evelyn's DNA, Ethan creates a toxin that will kill her, and he makes his way back to the Baker house. There, she tries to take control of him, but he is able to resist and inject her with the toxin. Afterwards, her true current form is revealed as the old woman in the wheelchair, as her aging had been accelerated as a side effect of not being monitored by her
What
creators.
the hell?
She then mutates into a
What
giant
the
creature,
hell?
knocking Ethan outside.
What the
There, he
hell?
receives a message from an unknown caller who drops a special weapon
What
from a
the
helicopter called the
shit?
Albert 01. Ethan then uses it to shoot Evelyn and
Yes,
finally
good.
destroy her.
Yes.
Afterwards, the Blue Umbrella Corps Alpha team arrives to rescue Ethan and Mia,
Oh,
and their leader
Mia's
takes
still
off
alive?
his mask to reveal himself to be none other than Chris
Chris?
Redfield. The couple
He
are
looks
then
so cool
reunited
now.
and evacuated in a Blue
Yeah, well, I
Umbrella
mean, no.
chopper,
I mean,
finally taking them away
he
from the
always
horrors
looked
of
cool. I'm
Dulvey.
sorry.
Chris then heads into the secret lab Ethan
looks
found
kinda
to
different
search
though.
for Lucas Baker and hopefully gain more intel on the Connections. Despite several traps left by Lucas, Chris is able to work his way through the lab and eventually find another one operated by the Connections. Lucas reveals that he had betrayed the organization and killed all of the
I don't
Connections
like how that
researchers
looked.
there. Chris is able to corner Lucas, shooting him and triggering a mutation
What
within
the
him.
shit? How
Chris
can
is
all
able
of
to
that
kill his mutated form,
hide
then
in a
destroy a
single
nearby
person?
server, stopping the transmission of Evelyn's data.
I think
to
I'm
an
gonna have a
unknown third
nightmare
party.
for
Afterwards,
tonight,
Chris is called
or
back to the camp to take an urgent
like,
call.
Sometime later, a pair of Blue Umbrella soldiers find Zoe, partially infected by Evelyn. Her uncle, Joe Baker, arrives and takes down the soldiers, believing them to be responsible for her current condition. One of them tells Joe about a cure in a nearby shack, and he goes and finds it.
Oh god.
When he returns, he administers the cure to Zoe, but it doesn't fully work.
Of course, she's already looked that bad.
And Joe can find it at their base. However, before he can reveal its
What is that?
location,
What is that? That's so
the
gross.
soldier
That's
is
so
killed by a
gross. That's
molded.
so gross. That is
Joe
so
takes
gross.
Zoe to find the base, encountering a powerful
What
immortal
the
molded he calls the
hell?
Swamp Man.
Why is he still
Joe finds the
punching
base, but
you?
discovers the cure to have been moved to a nearby boat. On board, Joe encounters the Swamp Man, but is able to find a full dose of the cure. However, before he can administer it to Zoe, she is captured and taken by the Swamp Man to a nearby church. There, Joe
He
faces
grabbed
the
her
Swamp
by
Man,
the
who he
cunt.
discovers to be the
Shit.
final mutation of his own brother,
Oh
Jack
no, that
Baker.
looks so scary. I don't
Jack
like
knocks
that.
Joe unconscious, then puts him in a coffin
no.
and
Oh
dumps him
no.
into the swamp.
What the hell?
Joe
Coffin?
survives, washing up on shore
How
near
is
the
he
Baker
alive?
household. He fights his way
How is
through
he
molded
alive?
and finds
What?
a prototype gauntlet created by Umbrella. Joe makes his way inside and
How
finds
is
Zoe,
he
guarded by
alive?
Jack. The two
Whoa.
fight one final time, and Joe uses his gauntlet to finally kill his
Whoa,
brother
that's
once and for
so
all.
brutal.
Joe then gives Zoe the full
That's
cure,
raw.
and she wakes up.
How is
Just
she
then,
alive?
Blue Umbrella forces arrive, and Chris reveals that he was sent to help. Afterwards, Zoe is fully cured of her infection.
How
and she receives
how
a
can
call
she
from
cure
Ethan,
from
who
all
she
that
thanks
shit,
for
man?
keeping his promise to
Huh?
send help.
Oh.
By 2021, Ethan and Mia are relocated by Chris Redfield to a city in Europe.
They have a
where they
baby
settle down
now?
with their newborn daughter, Rosemary. One night, after reading Rosemary a bedtime story called Village of Shadows,
Why
Ethan
would
puts
you?
the baby to bed
I don't
returning
know.
to Mia. Suddenly, the power goes
Out of
and Mia
any
is
other
shot
stories
several
you
times
can
by an
read to a
arriving
baby.
Chris Redfield and his team, the Hound Wolf Squad. Despite Ethan's pleas, Chris delivers a final shot to Mia before his team captures
Why?
Rosemary
Chris,
and
no,
knocks
what?
out Ethan,
Chris?
putting them
What?
both
Huh?
in a transport vehicle.
What?
Sometime later,
Huh?
Ethan wakes outside in the vehicle, which has crashed. He finds their guard dead and Rose, as well as Mia's body, missing. Ethan heads off to examine his surroundings, finding a nearby village with a large castle.
Oh, this
There,
is.
Ethan finds the village nearby abandoned, but finds a villager named Grigori who gives him a handgun. His house is then attacked by unseen creatures, which kill Grigori and drag Ethan underground.
Oh
After
god.
passing
Oh, so
several
this
dead
is
bodies,
village.
Ethan is attacked by one of the creatures.
What the
A
shit? That is so
werewolf-like
scary. That is
lichen,
so scary.
which bites off half of his hand. Ethan fights off the lichens
like
in the
that.
village, eventually becoming overwhelmed by them. But they are called away by the toll of the castle's bell. Afterwards, Ethan sees an old
That's
woman who informs
RE4.
him that Rose was brought to the village by Mother Miranda. He then meets a few villagers who let him into a nearby home for shelter. However, once inside, one of the survivors turns lichen and attacks. Ethan is able
Of
to
course.
escape, once again emerging alone. Outside, he
Of
finds
course
Mother
he
Miranda,
survives.
killing another villager. He tries to chase her, but finds the old woman instead. Ethan makes his way to the castle, but is soon confronted by a mysterious man with the ability to control the magnetic field around his body.
What the
The man
shit?
encapsulates Ethan in a metal cage
That's so
of
scary.
sorts,
That is
then
so
drags him
scary.
to a meeting with Mother
Nah,
Miranda
this
and
is
her
not
underlings,
real.
the four lords of the region. These four
Oh,
lords
that's the
include
dummy
Carl
mummy.
Heisenberg, the
Heisenberg.
man who captured Ethan,
Heisenberg.
Lady Alcina Dimitrescu, a vampiric winemaker and
Breaking
countess
Bad.
of the castle, Donna Beneviento, a puppeteer
What are
who
they
telekinetically
cooking?
speaks through her doll Angie, and finally
Ew.
Salvatore Moreau, a
That
fishman.
could look so
Mother
pretty
Miranda
if this
leads
is not
Ethan to
Resident
Heisenberg,
Evil.
who gives Ethan a head start before sending an army of lichens after him.
How
Ethan
is he
able to
alive
escape.
through all of this, man? I
Outside,
swear,
Ethan
RE
finds himself at the
protagonists are
entrance
not
to the
real.
castle, where he meets the Duke,
The Duke.
a large traveling merchant who offers his services to help Ethan in finding his daughter.
Yay.
He then enters the castle, where he is captured by Lady Dimitrescu and her 3 daughters. Ethan fights and kills
She's
all
so
3 of
big.
these daughters before confronting the Countess herself.
Oh,
He
how did
stabs her
he
with the
survive that?
dagger of Death's
Oh,
flowers, which
by the
causes her to
boobs.
mutate into a giant creature, which he fights
Oh
and kills.
shit! How did Ethan,
He then
the
retrieves
normal
a flask
man,
from a nearby
fight off
pedestal
that?
and continues on his search for Rose, heading
Oh
to
my
an
baby, where's the
underground
baby?
cave
Where's the
where he
baby?
finds the
That
old
baby.
woman once again, who shows him a symbol on the nearby cave wall, which eerily resembles the Umbrella Corporation's logo.
Oh yeah, it does.
Ethan then finds
Damn.
the Duke, who reveals that the flask he found contains Rosemary's head,
What?
and informs him that the other 3 lords must have their own flasks, which Ethan must insert into a nearby altar in order to reform his daughter,
What
since
now?
her powers allow her essence to remain.
What now?
Ethan then proceeds to fight through Beneviento, surviving her horrific hallucinations, as well as Moreau, first meeting with Chris
Schizophrenia.
Redfield in the Hound Wolf Squad, where he learns that the infections in the region are somehow related to experiments with the mold
Kadu.
that created Evelyn, eventually defeating them both and a large lichen
What
guard
the
to retrieve
hell?
the other 3 flasks, which
What
he takes to the altar.
hell?
After inserting the flasks
What
into the altar,
the
Ethan
hell?
gains access to Heisenberg's factory.
Oh,
where
you're
the man
cooking
offers
meth
to help
here.
Ethan save Rose
Oh,
in
that's
order to use
Heisenberg?
her potential powers to kill Mother Miranda. Ethan denies his offer and is forced to fight through Heisenberg's
Whoa, what
to
is
escape the
this?
factory.
What?
However,
They're
he soon
also
finds
making
Heisenberg
mechanical
once again,
monsters
who
now?
uses the
God
nearby
damn.
machinery to transform himself into a massive creature. He then punches Ethan back, and he falls down to the bottom of the factory. After he recovers,
How did he survive
Ethan
that?
finds Chris Redfield,
Why is
who
Chris
scolds him
here?
for not leaving when Chris told him to. Ethan confronts Chris
Of
about him
course, my
killing
baby
Mia,
and my
but
wife
Chris
is
reveals that the
gone.
Mia he shot was actually none other than Mother
Oh,
Miranda,
oh.
who has shapeshifting
What now?
abilities
So he
that
made
allow her to
babies
disguise
with the
herself as
fucking
his
huh?
wife. Chris
Huh?
finally explains to Ethan that Miranda has been experimenting with the mold her entire life.
What
And
now?
Chris plans to destroy the village, which is her life's work.
What
He then
is
reveals that
happening?
Miranda has the 4 flasks. He tasks Ethan with taking a tank topside to fight Heisenberg.
Wait, my
while he
brain
stays
hurts.
underground
This
to plant
alters so
explosives.
many
Above
neurons
ground,
and chemicals
Ethan
in my
fights the
brain,
mutated Heisenberg,
and
but
it's
he is soon
hurting.
overpowered. The
There's too
explosions
many
from the factory
information
distract
about
Heisenberg, allowing
nonsense
Ethan to escape on
going to
foot
my
and
head.
eventually re-enter the tank to kill
Huh?
Heisenberg once and for all.
Okay.
Ethan then gets a call from Chris,
Oh,
who
he
tells
uses
him to wait for
iPhone?
him before finding
Shit.
Miranda. But Ethan is interrupted by Rosemary's cries.
Baby.
As he hangs up and turns around, he is met by Mia, who he soon learns is Mother Miranda in disguise.
Oh
once
wow,
again.
that looks so
Miranda reveals to
pretty.
Ethan that Rose is Evelyn's successor and her
What
true,
now?
complete form.
Oh,
Miranda then
see,
explains that the
I
Megamycete, the mold's
suspected
origin
something
colony,
when
catalogs
there's
the
a
DNA
baby
of all
involved in
organisms it
the
comes
Resident
across,
Evil game,
allowing her
and then Chris
to
killing them. Like,
rebirth
oh, okay,
Rose
okay, yeah,
as her
something is
own
wrong.
daughter.
Chris
Miranda,
is not
who
a bad
reveals
guy.
herself to be the old woman who was watching him throughout his
Oh,
travels
of
in the village,
course, of
then
course.
rips out Ethan's
Oh,
heart,
oh,
killing him
oh, oh,
and promising to catalog his blood in the
What
Megamycete.
the hell? How did
As
he
Ethan
witness
lies
all
dead on
this
the
while
ground,
his heart is
Miranda
out?
leaves, expressing her excitement to meet her, quote, true daughter once again.
Wow, that is so cool. That is so
Shortly
cool.
after, Chris briefs the Hound Wolf squad on the events so far, as they head towards the village to finally kill Miranda. As soon as they arrive, the BSAA
I don't know how
arrives
are you
as
gonna
well.
kill all of this with
Chris and his
guns.
team then lead a full-on attack
I
on
know
the
the
Lycan
guns
army
in
the
RE
village,
are
eventually
cool,
reaching the
but like,
Megamycete and attaching a
see?
neutron bomb to
okay,
it.
bomb,
Before
possible,
detonating it,
possible.
however, Chris elects to find Miranda to finish her off himself.
Oh, I need to finish
On
her
his
by
way,
myself
he finds
with my own
Miranda's lab,
hands.
where he learns the truth to her experiments. Long ago, Miranda's daughter, Eva, died from the Spanish flu.
Oh, I
Miranda
see.
then discovered the Megamycete and experimented with it to create a parasite called Mikado,
Why
which
are
allowed
you
her to gain
keep?
her own powers
Oh,
as well as the power of her 4 lords.
oh, this is
When none
yeah,
of them
kind
proved
of
to
like
be a suitable
Labagas.
host for Eva's rebirth, she worked with the connections by providing the mold and Eva's DNA.
Okay,
with
I
which they
really
created
wonder what the
Evelyn, who also
scientists
proved to
were
be an
thinking. Like,
unsuitable
oh
host
yeah, I
for
want to
her
get on
daughter.
board with this. Like,
However,
why
her
would
work
they
with the
voluntarily?
connections led her to learn of Rosemary, who she decided to use as her host. Most surprisingly, Chris learns that one of Miranda's students was none other than Oswald Spencer. Although the pair disagreed on their motives, with Spencer wanting to infect
How
the
do they
entire
have
world,
connections?
while Miranda only wanted to resurrect her daughter, Spencer continued to write to her after he left to start his own company, Umbrella Corporation.
That's
drawing
his
inspiration
corporation!
From the symbol in the caves.
What the fuck?
Chris then finds
Oh,
the real Mia
my
and
brain is
rescues her,
so all
informing
over
her
the
of
place.
Ethan's death. Mia surprisingly tells Chris that Ethan isn't really gone. as she secretly knows of his own special abilities.
Ethan is not a normal human
Elsewhere,
being.
Ethan finds himself in a frozen tundra where he sees a vision of Evelyn, who tells Ethan that he is dead.
Okay,
While
fair.
Ethan assumes
He
he
should
was
be.
killed by Mother Miranda,
Yeah.
Evelyn reveals that Ethan was actually killed 3 years ago during his initial fight with Jack
Then who
Baker.
was it?
And after that, it was the mold that recreated him,
What?
explaining his superhuman healing ability.
The fuck?
Ethan then wakes up in the Duke's carriage, who is en route to the ceremony site to take
Hey,
Ethan
the Duke's
to Miranda.
is a real
Ethan
man.
thanks the
He's a
Duke
real
and
one.
heads
He's a
off,
real one.
fighting his way to Mother Miranda. When he reaches her, he finds that she has successfully reformed the child, but much to
all
her
just
dismay,
for
it
a
is not
baby.
her daughter, but Rosemary, who begins to absorb Miranda's power.
Oh,
A nearby
cool.
Chris then shoots Miranda, allowing Ethan
Hey,
to
my
recover his
baby,
child.
my baby back, my baby.
However,
Oh shit,
Miranda
no,
begins
my
to
baby,
mutate
no,
with
my
the
baby,
mold,
no,
taking
my
Rose
baby.
back and absorbing her as she
What the
transforms into a
fuck?
giant
Oh, she looks
creature.
so good.
Ethan
Oh
harnesses his
wow,
determination
I like this form.
and fights Miranda in a grueling battle.
What the?
Eventually,
How are you
emerging
beating this with a
victorious
shotgun?
and killing
How are
her.
you beating a
The
fucking
mold
godlike
around her then
shit
begins
with
to
a
disintegrate,
shotgun
and Ethan
only?
finds Rose in the remains.
Oh
As
baby.
he grabs his daughter, however,
Oh
he begins to
no.
crumble as well.
Oh no.
As the remains of the Megamycete begins to mutate, Chris drags
What?
Ethan out of the wreckage. Ethan tells Chris to watch over Rose as he gives her his jacket.
Aww.
As the mold separates them, Ethan takes the detonator for Chris's bomb and stays behind,
Aww,
knowing as soon as the mold is
father.
gone, he will be too.
Oh yeah, his
Chris
own
heads
mold.
off,
He's
and
no
Ethan
longer human.
pushes the detonator.
Oh.
As Chris returns to Mia in an escape helicopter, she demands to know where her husband is.
Oh.
Just then, the village below explodes, destroying the mold and, in turn, Ethan, who Chris reveals sacrificed himself to save them. Nearby, one of Chris's men reveals that
From
he
a single
recovered one
father
of the
to a
BSAA
single
squad,
mother.
a BOW dressed up as a soldier.
The fuck?
A
Why?
confused and frustrated Chris then orders his pilot to chart a course to the BSAA's European headquarters to get some answers, as he states
Someone's
that
gotta pay.
someone's gotta pay.
When is this
At an
conflict gonna
unspecified
end?
point in the future, an Alaskan research team discovers a whale
What?
preserved in ice.
Okay.
Inside of it, creatures come to life that proceed to
What?
infect a member of the team. One researcher sends a sample to a Dr. Dan Gibson in the US. Gibson
the hell?
studies it to create a vaccine, but his team becomes infected during the trials. A special force team is sent by the Center for Disease Control to retrieve his
CDC.
work. Agent Lisa Martin is able to help Gibson escape, but is shot in the process, developing amnesia. Sometime
What is
later, Lisa and
happening?
Gibson are living in Croatia, where the disease is spread with a group of other survivors. Supplies are running low in the city, and escape looks unlikely with the amount of infected surrounding the border.
Uh-huh.
Lisa and Gibson hear a rumor of a girl on the island of Lenosa who is immune to the virus and
Oh,
may be
shit.
the key to a cure.
Okay.
The
You
team
made it
had
to
play
RE Village?
music
Yeah, that was
to
RE
zombies with
Village.
music in order to slip past them to reach an air base to fly to the island. Gibson is
God,
separated from the
and
rest of the group,
I
but
can
Lisa eventually
imagine
finds
living
the air
in
base
their
mostly
world where
abandoned.
there's a
They find
conflict,
evidence that Gibson was
like
there, and they ask the soldiers
a
stationed there if they
epidemic
had seen
almost.
Gibson. They are informed
Pandemic
by Dr.
almost.
Joe Nags
Every
that
year,
Gibson is
for
believed
some
to be
reason.
a bioterrorist and
This
is
is
on
not
his way
real.
to the US to stand trial for his hand in the virus's spread.
Honestly,
He
I
also
don't care
states that the
much.
virus has been sent for
Voice
further
of Gaia.
research to the
Okay, that's
United
for
States Army
Resident
Medical
Evil
Research
Village Shadows. So
Institute of
what
Infectious
now?
Diseases,
What
or
now?
USAMIID.
What? Is that
However, their
Rose
discussion is
being
cut
an
off when
adult? Okay,
Gibson
can
calls
we?
from the
I don't.
aircraft.
I don't care for the. I'm sorry. For
In
the
the year
actors, you guys are
2037,
cool, but
we
like,
find a now
yeah.
teenaged Rosemary Winters meeting
Rose
with
is
one of
it?
Chris's agents, a
Oh.
man named Kay. Kay offers Rose a way to remove the powers given to her by the Megamycete, which have caused her to be alienated since her
Oh
childhood.
yeah, of course.
She then takes
You're
her
a
to
monster.
a lab where they've been going over
course,
Mother
bullied.
Miranda's research on a purifying crystal, and he points her towards a sample of the mold, telling her to enter its consciousness
What
in order
now?
to retrieve the crystal.
What now?
Rose is able to connect with the Megamycete and enter it, floating through her memories of being ostracized as a child
Oh
before
no.
she finds herself back in the lab.
Oh no.
Rose soon realizes that something is off and exits the lab to find herself below
What
Captain
now?
Demetress.
Okay, yeah, that's why
There
you
she is
don't
met
trust
with a strange
strangers.
sight, a copy
That's why you
of
don't
herself.
trust strangers,
This Rose
people.
copy then leads her to other copies.
What now?
In various states of capture and deformity.
What now?
Rose soon learns what's been capturing these copies as monstrous mold creatures begin to appear and mutilate them. Rose escapes with the help of some kind of ethereal being, which leads her to safety by writing messages
that's so
on the
cool.
wall.
It's the it's a
Once
DLC.
safe,
Okay.
Rose speaks with her guardian angel, likening it to the angel Michael, a name the being then takes on.
Okay. Hi,
Rose
Michael.
then explores the castle and comes across the figure capturing the
Hey,
copies of
Duke.
her,
Hi,
a
Duke.
masked version of the Duke, intent on commanding the mold creatures to bring him the Rose copies so he can watch them suffer.
Oh, Duke is not
Rose
the
then
real one
spots the purifying
anymore.
crystal in a display beside him, and in her excitement, she reveals herself to the masked Duke. Once Rose escapes the Duke's mold monsters, she discovers that she must find 3 masks in order to unlock the display case to obtain the crystal.
Wow, how
With
did
Michael's
she...
help, Rose is able to unlock her powers, enabling her to destroy the mold
Oh,
to an extent,
that's so
and
cool.
eventually
Okay.
obtain all 3 masks.
Oh,
Rose
she's
then unlocks the
amazing.
display case
Slay.
holding the purifying
She's so
crystal,
cool.
but as she grabs it, the masked Duke reveals that it is merely a copy, which then crumbles in Rose's
Oh
hands.
no.
Rose is then enveloped by the mold and taken to a pit, where the masked Duke forces her to fight his giant, brutish creature.
Oh no.
Once Rose defeats this creature,
Oh, she's
Michael
cool.
leads her to a
Jump.
cliff and instructs her to jump.
And then she dies.
She
No,
does
no.
so,
Oh,
and
okay,
is
never
taken
mind.
to a deeper stratum within the Megamycete.
Oh god. Where
There
is
she
she?
enters a house of horrors, where she is forced to relive the taunting and teasing she endured as a child.
Oh, that's
After
so
hiding and
sad.
escaping from several murderous dolls and mannequins, Michael takes Rose to a recreation of her old home.
Kill your trauma.
There, Rose is shown memories
Kill your
of her
trauma.
father, who she doesn't remember, caring for her when
All
she was a baby.
right. Aww.
She then finds a letter her father wrote to her, where he claims that he'll always be with her. This tender moment is interrupted when Rose meets her true tormentor on this story.
Oh fuck. Why?
The girl expresses
Why?
her
How is
jealousy over
Evelyn
Rose's
still?
parents wanting
What?
her and not Evelyn, before Michael helps subdue the girl temporarily. Evelyn's frustrations then boil over, and she turns towards Rose. Michael then appears in the flesh and pushes Rose out of the way, plunging her below to a deeper stratum.
Oh. What?
There,
Where
Rose
is she?
finds
Is
the
this a
village the
real world
Megamycete
anymore?
was created in, and she follows an apparition of herself to its core.
I don't understand any of
There
this
she
now.
finds the source of the copies of herself,
What?
learning through various
What?
notes left
Huh?
around that Mother Miranda, who had died but found herself alive
What?
within the Megamycete,
Okay.
had been creating these copies still
Oh
in an
my
effort to create a vessel for her
God.
daughter, Eva's rebirth. When the copies
She's
turned
so
out to be failures,
desperate for.
Miranda
Oh
used
my
another
god, I
creation,
swear,
the
about
masked
the stories
Duke,
about
to
these
exterminate them.
mothers being
Miranda then decided that
obsessed
instead of
with
creating the perfect
recreating
copy of Rose, she'd
children.
simply convince the real girl
Oh
to
my
enter
God.
the Megamycete instead. Soon after, Rose finally finds the real purification crystal,
Okay.
and as she touches it, she immediately begins to feel her powers wash away.
No, you
She's
still need the
soon
powers to go.
interrupted, however, as Miranda appears before
You
Miranda
need
not
your
only
powers back.
reveals her plans to Rose, but also explains that she was able to
You need your
manipulate
powers
the
back.
Megamycete within the girl to make her believe she was talking to Kay, when in reality, it was only an illusion to lure her
Oh,
into the Megamycete's
schizophrenic.
consciousness,
See?
where she would relinquish her powers and become weak enough for Miranda to implant her daughter's essence. Michael then appears again to take Rose to safety, and Miranda reveals that he had been Rose's father, Ethan Winters.
Oh, father.
Ethan then protects Rose from the various mold creatures as they run from an approaching Miranda.
Aww.
Once in a clearing, Ethan distracts Miranda to give Rose a chance to use the
I'm
purifying
almost
crystal
tearing
to
up.
finally rid herself of her powers. Rose instead destroys the crystal, embracing
Yay,
her
let's
abilities
go.
and using them to fight Miranda one-on-one.
Let's
After a
go.
battle, Ethan endows Rose with his own powers, which she uses to finish Miranda once and for all.
Whoa.
The woman then calls out to her daughter Eva as she finally disappears from the Megamycete.
Okay, she's actually
Rose and Ethan then
dead now.
finally share a moment together,
Oh,
face to
oh,
face.
the
The pair
Ethan's
share
face
their
is
love
not
for each other,
shown.
with Ethan telling his daughter how proud he is of her.
Aww.
Rose then awakens back in the lab, finding her father's wedding ring in her hand. Sometime later, Rose visits her father's grave at a cemetery, wishing him a belated happy birthday. Nearby, she is summoned by an agent for an unknown organization, who claims she is needed for an ongoing situation, mockingly calling her Evelyn. She forcefully grabs him.
Oh, let's go.
Chris Redfield doesn't even know of, but he apologizes, claiming it was just a joke.
Not funny, guy.
Rose then enters his vehicle, and he notes her similarity to her father.
Yalah,
The two then drive off as a figure on the road in the distance approaches them, and the car stops.
Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that?
We once again conclude our journey through the world of Resident Evil.
That is.
While we don't quite know how our favorite characters' stories will continue,
I didn't understand
one thing
most
is
of
for
it.
sure: Resident Evil will live on forever.
The way they keep on adding
Hey, everybody, thanks for
problems,
watching.
yeah,
If you made
it
this
won't
far,
end.
make sure you like
What
this-
the shit? Okay, we sat through 2-3 hours. Oh my god. Yeah, that was crazy. that was crazy. That was unreal. Wow. My Discord reaction is not reacting. Yeah. About that. Okay, yep, no, this is oh, my Discord is not okay, whatever. Okay, yeah, so that was it. I have no more content to put. Thanks for everyone who came by. This is a weird stream. Every Wrencc stream is weird, honestly. Yeah.